And we're live, Thomas White and I. For the first time, you've been on my channel, but you have quite a big one on yours. I've appeared on your channel about men's matters. So, well, thank you for appearing on mine, and I hope you. Well, I know we'll have lots to say about the state of the matriarchy.
Well, you said a big channel. It's not a big channel anymore. I lost my big channel, my main channel. So I had to. I'm on my third channel now, but it's growing, I suppose.
Well, the problems worsen, don't they? So I suppose it would have
Yeah,
to
I
grow.
was doing okay for a long while there, and then I just kept getting flagged on every stream I did. So eventually they just took me down. But I had a lot of engagement. It was a big channel. I got a lot of people on my channel. I must have did 50 different interviews, and it was really fun to kind of try to grow a YouTube channel, and it hurts to lose it. But I kind of blame myself. I was kind of reckless, so I'm not really like blaming anybody but myself.
Do you know what was the final straw? What got you?
I don't know. I got found out, or something happened where, just week after week, the past streams would get flagged and removed.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. We were pretty edgy, so. But I don't want to be fake, So I have a tough time kind of submitting to the TOS. I'm trying to get better at it. I mean, I'm trying to get better at it.
Well, you got quite a good brand now, don't you? So, I mean, I suppose the silver lining in getting your account deleted is how quickly people find you, as as evidence of the stickiness of your brand. So, I mean, Thomas White is kind of a brand now, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a lot of people that like the channel because I don't know, we get a lot of trolls, and we engage with the chat. I take calls, and some of them are funny, and some of them are silly, and some of them are lowbrow or low IQ. And we just kind of run with it. It's fun. I got a lot of people that I've been streaming with in the last couple of years that kind of been a part of my channel, and it's like a good group of guys to just kind of bounce ideas off and just talk about stuff, and it's fun. Whether it's about women or conspiracy theories or racism or whatever. Sorry, that's my toaster oven.
Oh, it's a very advanced toaster. Mine doesn't make a noise like that. So it's saying, instead of going bing and producing your toast, it makes this electronic noise at you.
Yeah, it's fancy. I kind of like it. I never use my regular range oven because just if I'm cooking for myself, it's just a lot more simple.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think things are getting worse or better now that Trump is president?
I don't think it matters. I don't think Trump's really having any real effect or changing anything. I don't think if Kamala were president, I don't think we'd be, I don't think anything would be really that much different. I mean, maybe things would be even better, I'd say.
I suppose it's impossible to prove, but do you still have any hopes of what Trump might do for the manosphere?
Not really. I think Trump's going to get impeached eventually. When midterms roll around, he'll probably get impeached or die in office.
What do you think?
Just because he's old, not because he'll get killed or whatever.
Well, they did try to kill him, so I guess somebody thought he was dangerous enough.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't really think Trump's having real doing anything really that. I mean, it's nice to see him say Somalians don't belong in Minnesota. That's kind of a nice little gesture, or just to say that out loud is kind of interesting and fresh, but nothing will come of it in my opinion.
Yeah, I have a feeling that people are somehow now being encouraged into being racist, and that Christianity is going to be weaponized one way or another. Um, but I wanted to ask you what you what do you think of his foreign policy? Do you care much, or not particularly? I know he said he'd end the endless wars, but he's kind of not delivering on that promise. But so maybe he kind of feels he has to go extra hard on being racist and ICE and everything. Do you think that makes sense?
Eh, not real. Well, maybe. I don't. I just see status quo. I don't see Trump really doing anything, outside the box or making any real change. I see things as being stagnant. The Ukraine Russian stuff still going on, and but he ended 8 wars. He tells everyone. So I'm just kind of tired of it. I don't really. I mean,
Hmm.
Trump's kind of like people get annoyed with me because I don't think
You're
Trump's.
such a pessimist.
Well, I don't think Trump's doing anything like outside the status quo really at all in terms of foreign policy.
No, I think all Americans have to do this American imperialism thing. They have to, well, start a war or something. It's always um, maybe it's not allowed. Maybe American presidents never had any control over foreign policy. Somebody else is pulling the strings. I mean, which kind of explains why they've never said anything different about Israel, which I've been saying is an American colony, the most prestigious colony in the world.
Well, I don't see. I kind of admire and respect Trump to a certain degree, but not for the same reasons most people, like liberals or you know right wingers. They have these certain views about him, and for me, it's just I find him to be like a remarkable figure. Like he's a big hotshot who he's off the cuff says kind of crazy stuff like that tweet with about Rob Reiner. Like I had a lot of people on the right and the left that I talked to had a real big problem with that, and that's like where I kind of push back. I didn't have a problem with it. Like I didn't think it was a big deal. People want him to like rise above and be like more presidential. It's like fuck that, or screw that. It's great to have somebody who like defends himself and calls people names and stuff. If I was getting attacked and smeared for 10 years on the by a famous person, whether it was in radio or television, and being smeared and called names for 10 years, I don't fault Trump for putting a tweet out, a tweet like that out, and just, or not a tweet, a social whatever post, true social
Truth.
post.
Yes.
That
But did
doesn't.
he call? Carry on, sorry.
Well, that doesn't offend me. Like it offends my right wing friends. Like just Trump, be quiet. Like you don't have to say that. It's like, well, he's just defending himself. Like some hotshot, famous Hollywood guy
Mm.
talk crap about you. Like screw. I'm not like mad at that type of post. And I think it's funny that liberals and right wingers are so butthurt about it. And I just think it's like, nah, screw that. I like it. That's one thing I like, but that's all you really get. I find Trump to be like he's I mean, he's just he's an interesting person. Like he's
Oh yeah.
wealthy and he's, cool or popular with a certain crowd or a lot of people or whatever. He's the president. And
Mhm.
I can kind of I don't know, I just find him to be like a remarkable person, like where he's just who is this guy and how does he get away with it? And he's got this cult following and he's just such a you know a large figure in American society or the world.
Yeah, he was rude about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Didn't he call her fat or something? That seemed a little petulant.
Yeah. I see. I don't. That's kind of like what bothers me is that people that do want to help Trump or do things that are going to create change, like he claps back at the Ann Coulter and Marjorie Taylor Greene and who's that other congressman? Uh, the one that doesn't take the money from Israel.
Thomas Massey?
Yeah, Thomas Massey. He goes after Thomas Massey, and then he's like rubbing, but then he like appoints these like neocon types to like in his cabinet and his in his administration. So he's just all over the place, and it's sort of I just see status quo. I don't really, but I don't really like get mad about like Trump or happy, or I'm just kind of like, well, it's just whatever.
I suppose it's only a matter of time before there is a Hollywood movie about the Reiner murder.
Yeah, probably. That's kind of that's kind of wild that happened to him. That it's like these people. It is almost like a curse. It's sort of weird. Like people that go after Trump, their lives don't really go too well. That's kind of an interesting observation I've seen.
Who else can you think of who've taken on Trump and
just kind of the random people on the media? They either lose their job, they lose, like Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo aren't on television anymore. They be like important people on TV and news, and they're gone. Just people that go after Trump. It doesn't seem like people benefit from attacking the president.
Yeah, so the mood is changing. There's something in the air, isn't there? Well, I mean, it would be a shame if after all this trouble, nothing
well, here's
happened.
what I'll say. There's like rampant anti-Semitism on like X and social media. There's black fatigue. That's been a talking point in in polite society. There's just maybe there is some of that shift where like it's okay if you're like a white American and not caring about woke DEI stuff, and not as much crackdown on this stuff. So that's an interesting development over the last couple years, I suppose.
Oh, so you've noticed a change at work?
Not necessarily work, just in general. Like just people aren't as scared to just maybe speak their mind. And that's kind of why I do respect the Trump presidency, in a sense that it's like there's just a shift where Trump gives people it's given people room to say things they otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he gave the British the courage to vote to leave the EU. There was Obama, I remember, and he came to the UK and said, don't you British think you're going to get a better deal from us Americans when you leave the EU? You're going to go to the back of the queue, he said to us. And it was so blatant. And then Trump flew into Scotland to have a look at one of his golf clubs, and he was just saying, yeah, if I were British, I'd vote to leave. And I think that was what did it. Otherwise, the cowardly British people would have, voted to remain, and the EU would have been, okay. But yeah, I think he has done something, because he does change the mood. He makes people think all kinds of things that they previously didn't dare. And what I noticed about Nick Fuentes is that there were people who were saying, is it okay for us to discuss Nick Fuentes? Shouldn't we, wait for a Jew that we know to let's ask him? And, it was just so cringeworthy. It's like, we can't discuss Nick Fuentes until some Jew does. But this is what I noticed about the kind of the cringe factor, that these Gentiles, these American Gentiles, just didn't think it was worth sticking their necks out to discuss Nick Fuentes. Even on their own YouTube channels, they had to wait for a Jew to do it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But nobody's stopping them. That's the thing. But I suppose, on this and other topics, people would want to stick their necks out. Um, but I think really, this whole "are you a Nazi?" kind of question is really to prevent Americans from discussing American foreign policy. To make them busy accusing each other of whether they're Nazis or not, rather than saying, well, do we need it? Do we want it? You know, I mean, I know I'm kind of not being mainstream here because I'm saying Israel is an American colony, and obviously, whatever Israel apparently does, because it hasn't got an independent foreign policy anyway, because it's an American colony, of course America would support it because, Israel is a proxy for America, and this is why Iran calls America Great Satan and Israel Little Satan. It's but I know, there are people, the people who always blame Jews will find this very difficult to swallow. But I think it makes sense. I mean, you want to be there to control international shipping and keep an eye on the oil.
Yeah, there's just no real like revolution happening, and Trump's maybe doing things behind the scenes. I kind of see it as a fruitless endeavor. Like I really do believe Trump will be impeached. I think the Democrats will be in power in the next election, the next presidential election, and we'll just kind of go back to normal or whatever. I don't see there's just kind of like a
You're
bump in the
always such a pessimist,
I
Thomas.
don't see I really don't. I think the Democrats can easily take power. It's not even going to be hard, in the coming years. Like the Republicans, I mean, he's one guy and he's old and there's no one
Yeah,
to
but
like.
but he started a kind of revolution in thinking, hasn't he? It's like, yeah, we can win against these liberals, and we are winning. And in the matter of foreign policy, he seems to be downsizing the empire to, to a more manageable state, maybe. I mean, I guess he's starting a war with Venezuela because he's saying, well, they call it Monroe 2, right? The Monroe Doctrine version 2, saying, everyone keep out of the Americas. We want to control the land mass from, the Arctic to the Antarctic. And there's oil in Venezuela and we want it. Do you think that would make but if he says goodbye to Europeans, then I guess he'll be saying goodbye to Israel, because then there'd be no point defending Israel, which is actually quite costly for America, I would have thought, with all the ill will it is generating. Because it's not just, the the Middle East. It's everybody, it's everywhere as well. For some reason, Jews take on a kind of significance even to people who didn't have to live with them, like the Chinese, like the Indians, people kind of, they always take their positions for some reason. Well, not always, but, they sort of think that there's something, magic to, the Jewish identity, or somehow prestigious, and yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot of happening in terms of like change or anything different. And maybe you can call me a pessimist, but it's a status quo, same as old. Like Trump's not doing anything, and I don't really get into it. I don't think he's gonna change you know, the course of America. It's just kind of like a a little period of time where like the people sick of the BS or whatever, and like they can feel good for a little while, but I
Mhm.
don't think anything's gonna happen out of it or come out of it in the coming years. Like I just don't.
Well, I suppose a lot of people see him as a catalyst because he's such a mood changer. What about well, I mean, I guess if I were him, I would I would ban all political parties, and that would be, my legacy, because, obviously it's this party system of unprincipled party politicians just fighting each other for basically, more of the same policy. Because it doesn't matter which party you vote for, it's always another war and more immigration, which I think is linked anyway, because the business model of the American empire is to bomb the crap out of Muslim countries and then, ship the Muslims whose countries you bomb the crap out of to the West as cheap labor, but kind of distributed too, into Australia and Europe and Canada. So, I mean, I guess if you think it's a benefit, then it is a benefit.
Yeah, I just don't really have a lot to say about the whole Trump thing.
Okay, you may not. For some reason, well, we've got Mike Malzahn because I put the link there. I don't know. Did you have anything to say? So we in case the topic is derailed, or would you like to have? Oh dear. So everybody's here. Judas is here.
No, anyone who wants to hop on and argue with me, I don't care.
Okay. So shall I do that? I mean, do you have any points you want to bring across, make before it descends into a kind of free for all, Thomas?
No, I have no objection. I'm just here to hang out. And if you want to ask me anything, I'll answer whatever you want to ask me. I'm here to hang out.
All right. I'll just add Mike and Judas, and yeah, we'll party, I
I have
guess.
a question for Thomas, and then I'll hop off for other people to come on.
What's up, Claire? Judas?
Hi. I don't think we met.
Thomas. And the star of the show is Thomas.
Thomas,
Mike.
can you red pill me on Ronald Reagan?
Well, I just don't think Reagan was a good president. I don't think most presidents are good presidents. They're all terrible, basically. Ronald Reagan destroyed California. He let all the Mexicans stay in. It's he didn't do anything good. He destroyed
Right. Well,
he destroyed California.
I'm sorry. When I came on, I heard Claire talking about immigration, and I guess Thomas is talking about immigration. Reagan gave amnesty to a bunch of illegals and let them in the country. Claire, I think you said something about letting Arabs in and Muslims in or something, but we've got a huge influx of South Americans. They used to be Mexicans. Now it's coming from the triangle, Guatemala, Venezuela, non-Mexicans, but Latin Americans. So this idea that we would invade Muslim countries so we could import Muslim immigrants is nonsensical. We've got a huge supply of cheap labor from the Western Hemisphere. Why would we want Arabs and Pakistanis or whatever?
Well, I suppose it's always useful to business organizations to lower wages. That would help. The bigger you have, the bigger the labor supply, the lower the wages.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's a reasonable argument that the larger the labor pool, the lower the wages go. I don't know if you know, but here in Florida, our minimum wage is now $14 an hour, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I don't think I guess you're going with an Illuminati thing that, the Jews control the world and they're suppressing wages by
Oh, no,
keeping
not
those.
me, not me. I was just saying it's a business model. I mean, I heard somewhere that cleaning ladies get, what, 20 bucks an hour now in America?
Oh yeah, no,
Is that
my
true? It was from you.
my sister's maid gets $25 an hour.
Okay. Well, that's more than minimum wage, isn't it?
It is. It's twice minimum wage. But yeah. If you're willing to scrub some toilets, you can make good money in America these days, and certainly in Florida.
Hmm. Do you have a?
But yeah, so it's bizarre that people are like. I mean, obviously, there are some people who work for minimum wage, and that's why it's called minimum wage. But if you're semi-industrial and willing to work hard, you can make probably twice that. What do they get in the UK? What does a maid get for cleaning toilets in the UK?
I don't know. I think it's probably £15 an hour.
Okay.
Yes, but I don't actually know that. Let me just check if I can. But I mean, inflation. Well, Mike, we know you're a bachelor, but I mean, do you think? What do you think of the manosphere? Because Thomas White here has a big YouTube channel, and he's well, a well-known YouTuber, which is why my live viewers have jumped from to 27. You're all very welcome, new viewers. Do you have
All right,
anything to say about?
Sorry, I just saw why someone said, why is $14 an hour crazy? Because people do literally nothing for it. You just show up, you sit around, you don't do a whole lot. I used to own a bounce house business, and I hired people, and yes, many of them were not worth $5 an hour. I mean, forget $14 an hour or $10 an hour. I've had employees who I literally would not pay them $5 an hour. They were so ridiculously bad. But anyways,
Yes,
Thomas, you're like a billionaire or something. You got a bunch of money. What are you doing?
No, I'm just a normal guy,
Okay.
working class. I've always had like high earning jobs in like my life, but to me, high earning is just a notch above minimum wage. So to me, if you're making $14 an hour or $26 an hour, your experience, your life experience in America won't change that much. I mean, you might have a nicer phone or maybe a nicer car, or maybe not live in a total dump, but you're barely chugging along.
Okay. Well, I've never made more than, I think, about $35 an hour is probably the highest wage I ever made. $85,000 a year. But I have $500,000 to my name, and I'm retired at 56, so I'm doing all right.
Yeah, well, $30 an hour in the current year, you're just not going to have a home. You're not going to have a family. You're not going to have a looks match wife. You're going to be dating down or be incel. So you can $30 an hour is sort of, just so you can maintain infrastructure, make sure, the lights turn on and the power doesn't go out. Like, you're not going to have a good life. $30 an hour is, to me, you're poor. And I'm not saying I'm like rich or wealthy or anything. I'm just saying if you're making $30 an hour, you're like on the poverty line. Like, you're not really going to gain or get anywhere in American life making $30 an hour. You're going to live in an apartment.
Okay. I would say you're 100% wrong. I mean, how is making $60,000 a year? No.
Well, you have to work. You have to actually do the work.
Sure. Obviously, you got to work.
And you got to pay your car insurance. You got to pay your.
Okay. How much is your car insurance?
Well, car insurance, I don't know. It depends on what If you're 22 years old versus 38 years old, that's a difference.
Right. So what is your car insurance?
I don't know. It's probably 1,200 a year. I think maybe.
Okay, 1,200 a year. So you're making $60,000 a year. You pay 1,200 a year for car insurance.
That's just car insurance. What about gas?
Right.
What about food? What about rent? Your
Right,
phone,
right. Let's go to all these things.
Internet.
So how much do you pay for rent a year?
Well,
A month.
The average apartment near my area, you're going to pay $1,600 to $1,800 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Okay. Let's round it up to $2,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Okay, that's 24,000 a year. You just paid $2,000 in car insurance.
Well, you're saying $60,000 a year is a lot of money, but it's not really 60.
I'm not saying it's a lot of money. I'm
No,
saying
but
it's survivable.
That's gross. That's gross. So like, how much do you really get? Maybe you get 48,000. Let's do the real numbers here. You got $48,000 a year to play with, and half of it's already been gobbled up by rent.
Okay. Yeah, there's no doubt. Rent is usually 30 to 40% of your total gross income or even your net income. But you're acting like you can't survive on $60,000 a year.
I'm saying flourish. I'm saying live, thrive. I'm saying have a looks match wife and be able to have 2-3 children. That Elon Musk keeps whining about the birth rate.
My apologies. I thought you were saying you couldn't survive on it.
You're saying you have a life, to have a life, and to have a looks match, and to have children and own property.
I don't know what any of that means.
A woman that is on your level, a woman that's not totally overweight and ran through by like 20 other men, including non-white men, and like this idea, like, oh, you're gonna make it, Bucko, at 60 grand a year. I'm saying no, Bucko. Your wife's going to be like 29 and ran through and has debt and tattoos and fucked a homie.
Okay. That's I never heard of ran through or tattooed or
you've seen blue hair, you've seen the pig nose, the bull ring. They're all. I mean, half of women are overweight.
Okay, I get it. You don't like fat chicks. Nobody does. Claire, you're not fat, right?
No, I'm not known for being fat.
Well,
she dropped the octave in there. I got a half chub just from Claire's voice. But yeah,
I had a couple of people ask me to appear on Koraniyule, and I like Claire. She's a nice lady. She's intelligent, well spoken. But me and my friends have talked about this. She doesn't have this, like, it's not about sex appeal or clicks or likes or tits and ass. So it's like we can have a real conversation because people aren't trying to simp for Claire Koch. First of all, she lives overseas, but she's like an older woman, and she can have a real conversation. Most women, it's just narcissism and like come be a pay pig for them.
But that's already a new expression, pay pig. That Mike is probably unfamiliar with the generation gap.
I definitely would not put the word pig in any description of you, Claire.
No, the man being the pay pig. Wasn't that what you said, Thomas?
Right.
My whole thing with Mike is like, oh, 60 grand, you'll survive. Like, why should we be? I understand, like, things were different back then. You could get by with a little less or whatever. Like the inflation, the rent, the costs, the modern day life is expensive. And for men, the average man who's 5'9" and works a job, he gets to have maybe a car and maybe an apartment and just be happy with that, Bucko. You've got your little smartphone, you got a big screen TV. Why are you complaining? You don't have time. You're always working. It's always hustle bustle, grind, Bucko, keep grinding. And maybe you'll get a nice, fat girl when you're 32 and she's 29, and you can maybe pump out one kid who has autism. Like, this is not a model that's going to work for the average person. People want to say like, oh, I listen to SJJ a little bit, and he's like a little more optimistic about things because, we do have technology. There is ways to slip through cracks. You can sort of get by or even maybe thrive and hit it big, because that's the new American economy. It's, you know, the stock market, it's sports betting, it's, you know, hit it big. You don't, you're not really doing anything. It's like a good investment or whatever. That's not enough. Like the point I'm trying to make is that
Right.
the white world, the Western world, the United States of America, half of white men are not going to get married. They're not going to own property. They're not going to have a nice girl that like is dutiful and wants to respect him and help him through his life and make sure that he has a easier, you know, time. They're going to be a burden, and they're going to be an anchor instead of someone who is going to make a man's life easier. And this isn't not going to work. Like, I don't care that some people make it big. I have friends that did really well in Bitcoin, and they live a really nice life, and they don't have to do a damn thing because they had the right investments. But half of white boy, you know, white America, white men, they're not going to get anything that they desire or even care or want to, you know, they're going to get nothing. And you're just, and all these men are supposed to what, keep going to work so they can have their little porn and their little flat screen TV and their little flat, their little apartment. This is not, this men are being forgotten. Men are being discarded, criticized or attacked. And this is unacceptable. This arrangement where you have your men who get up every day and have to contribute to society, and for what? For a robot girlfriend, you know, pornography. You know, this, they're not going to have time, vacations, families, communities. You're going to live in your little fucking, you're going to, you know, be a, you're going to, you know, be in your little, you know, it's like a eat the bugs, bucko, eat the bugs and enjoy your little 500 square foot apartment.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw someone said a woman's pussy is worth 1,000 ounces of gold or something. And a man's balls are worth Cracker Jacks. I just don't see it. I guess I live in a different world than you. I'm Gen X, right? I was born in '69.
Well, every generation's gotten worse for, you know, Western men.
Right.
You're
I live in a world where men are still men. We go fishing, we go hunting. I was just hanging out with some guys from my basketball.
And men half your age don't have any friends.
That may be. I don't know. It's sad what the Gen Zers are in the.
That's kind of my point with, like, men don't care about other men. Oh, you're getting $14 an hour to work at McDonald's. That's not fair. I had to work hard when I was a young person. It's like, well, cigarettes are $15 a pack. A 6-pack of beer is $12.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. You shouldn't buy cigarettes, and yeah.
No, I'm just using these examples, like a candy bar, a Snickers candy bar is $3. You're telling me you can't afford just to even get a soda, even soda pop. You're getting priced out of soda pop as a young person. You can't even afford soda pop.
You must be from the Midwest, soda pop. But yeah, when I was a kid, you could get a Charleston Chew for 10 cents. It was like a foot long. But I think it's strange that, like, America is not in the decline that everyone says it has been in. You can read, there's several books on it since our founding. People thought we were in the decline.
All the average age to own a home, the average age to get married, all this has risen incredibly. I mean,
right.
my parents were criticized when they were boomers, and they were criticized for not marrying younger and getting, you know, settling down and having children sooner. My parents were 28 and 26 when they had me, and I'm the oldest. The average marriage is 30 years old. Like, you're not going to have a family, you know, marrying some 30-year-old roasty. You're going to have maybe one,
but maybe at the same time, life expectancy has gone way up, right?
No, I disagree. I completely disagree. I think millennials will die a lot sooner than boomers because of their spirit.
Okay. Well, I can tell you personally, my mother's 90 years old. My father's 87 years old, right? She was born in 35. He was born in 38. or 37. And we have 5 kids. I'm a year, 7 years in a week from my oldest sister. We all grouped from 62 to 69. And but now people are spreading their kids out more, right? So why is that a bad thing? We've got too many people on the planet. We want to live.
That's a misnomer. We have too many of the wrong people.
Okay. Well,
white people are not breeding. The non-white
absolutely. The white race has been stagnant since 1980.
Well, if America doesn't care about white people, if Europe doesn't care about white people, if Australia and New Zealand don't care about white people, but the birth rate's fine. We got plenty of Mexicans, and we got plenty of Arabs and all these other people, Indians, and you're saying that
we should have less of all people, because the more modern lifestyle we want to live, right? We want to have electricity. We don't want to have air conditioning. We want to have all these things. That takes power and resources. So we've got what, 8 billion people on the planet?
Yeah, they want all these things. And white men have to do
10 billion people on the planet?
If white men aren't going to fix the roads and make sure the power lines are working and doing all this infrastructure, I mean, what do white guys get out of it? Why should they hold up this society, hold up the infrastructure, if they're not going to get a nice lady and they have to, watch pornography and not going to get by and, struggle to even build a nest egg? You said you have like some money saved up, but you don't have, you're what, a bachelor, I assume?
I am.
Yeah, so like you barely got by, you barely made it, you worked your tail off, and you got a little bit of money, and you're gonna just hang out and watch the world burn. Like, so what? You're not gonna
No, I don't think I barely got by or barely did anything. Did I work hard? Yeah, probably not, actually. I didn't work that hard. I'm semi-educated. I have a bachelor's degree.
I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just talking about, the plight of men.
No,
Men in the West are working their tail off for what? To be overrun with the non-white world and to have their own women hate them and not want to date them. And you're saying it's not that bad, Bucko. Like, just like SJJ said, oh yeah, just get on your little phone and start investing, man. You could figure it out. And it's like, well, a lot of guys aren't going to, and no one gives a shit. No one cares about men. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, that's where I'm trying, my angle at this. I'm trying to attack it at this. This is my larger point. Men are being forgotten. Men are being attacked for whatever toxic masculinity. They can't be men. They have no spaces of their own. You can't even go to a gym without some thought sticking her ass in your face.
Well, I don't know. I go to the gym here that's provided by the city, and nobody's sticking anything in my ass. Claire, what do you think?
Do you wish they would?
No,
Stick something in your face.
These are all older people. No.
Okay.
We want nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems so strange. I mean, I'm a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I'm not woke. I think you guys have this weird, like,
well, voting Republican hasn't done anything for men or what men care about. It's just the same old line. Like, it's just gynocentric. It's all about what women want, what women need, and
gynocentric.
Really, at the end of the day, it's what boomers want. But we got to make sure. Even Trump said it. It was on video earlier today about we can't let the housing prices go down because then all these boomers will lose their wealth. Well, why is a house supposed to be, this crazy investment that's going to get you rich? A house is to live in, and people can't afford housing. Young people.
Sure, I mean,
my father and my parents bought 3 fucking houses before age 30. Young people can't do that.
Okay. Well, I bought my first house when I was 22, but yeah, I think when the boomers start to die off, there'll be a glut. I live in Florida, so I'm assuming I can swoop in and get a bunch of condos really cheap. I mean, I bought a house in 1992. My dad, I bought from him a 9-unit apartment building in 2001. And then I bought another 4-unit building from him in 23. So he started buying apartment buildings in 1997, 98, or 80 and 81. And he worked for Honeywell. He's a rocket scientist. But anyways, so I've owned a bunch of properties throughout my life. And they're awesome investments. And then the Great Recession happened. The market collapsed. I wish I had my properties back at that point. But yeah, keep buying properties, man. Don't be so pissed about.
Well, I'm annoyed with this whole premise that we have to buy and try to work to. It's all money, money, money. Hustle, hustle, hustle. You know, try to get a little money out of a rental property. And it's like, why do I want to do any of that? Why should men have to do any of this? We can't have a place to live. And
well, that's what the market is. You don't want to work. You're a man. You keep saying you're a man, so you don't want to do anything.
I shouldn't have to do that much. I shouldn't have to like acquire all these properties and then now I can get. Well,
you don't have to. You can just be an average laborman and go about your day, and by the time you retire, you can make a living out of that. But if you want to do well, if you want to be rich, if you want to be a man of substance, you got to do more than just.
It's more about like just having a country that has, is thinking about you, caring about you, worried about your plight. Men are just there to just be discarded and just do, if they fucking fail or they lose everything, like they don't matter, they don't count. It's just literally a casino at this point with American life. Like you either get rich or
that's what capitalism is.
Yeah, capitalism's garbage. Modern capitalism's garbage.
Okay. So are you like a communist or something?
I'm not anything. I'm a young man. Well, I'm not young anymore. I'm a man living in the West and seeing through the bullshit where men have to do everything and get nothing. You're not getting when I say your looks match, a woman that isn't totally disgusting and overweight, that a woman that meets your looks, your social status, your social economic status, a woman that a good fit. You're either going to be an incel or you're going to go with a fat girl, or you're going to date down incredibly with a non-white woman, or you some immigrant, some third world woman. And then that's what you see with low status men today. They're either incel or they get the fucking third world girlfriend who doesn't even really like them, frankly. They just want a green card or some guy to fucking, some simp to fucking, just bleed dry.
Okay, so let me see if I get you straight here. You work hard in whatever job you have. We're going to assume it's not much more than minimum wage. And
I'll tell you my economics. I've made anywhere from $40,000 to $120,000 a year. Some good years, some bad years. I'm just a regular dude living out in the Midwest, white America, and our every major city is overrun with the non-white world. Our women are on TikTok and on OnlyFans. They're sleeping around. Nobody Elon Musk wants to talk about the birth rate, but never wants to talk about women's behavior. Women's behavior is out of control. They have life on easy mode. They have 10,000 simps in their DMs. They got men, they've got all these orbiters that want to help them move and help them fix their car. And, what are men to do if they have to just shut up, go to work and enjoy your little apartment? And you're not going to get much more than that out of this. This system's protecting boomers and old fucks and rich people Trump hasn't helped anybody. The average American's not getting any. Our gas prices are a little lower. That's about it. Everything else is through the roof. You can't even afford to enjoy pleasures, vices anymore.
Mike,
Okay,
do
so
you have any? Sorry, carry on, carry on.
no, that's all right. Go ahead, Claire.
Well, I was wondering if you knew any, family members, family members who expressed um, viewpoints similar to Thomas's.
No, I have 2 brothers and I have 4 nephews, and none of them seem to express these viewpoints. I will say my nephews are, I wouldn't call them simps, I guess, but they are kind of not the most athletic people in the world. When I was a kid, me and my brothers and my sisters, we all played sports, blah blah blah. But so my oldest nephew works for the NSA. He's a cybersecurity guy. My other nephew is at Drexel, studying to be a doctor.
Do these views that Thomas has expressed so far surprise you, or not particularly?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, this is kind of the world we're being portrayed as, and I'm assuming it's somewhat true. The internet, and these guys are like, if you threw a ball at them, it'd probably hit them in the face.
The incentive structure has just gotten worse for men over the years, like just constantly worse. Like, you thought you had it hard, Bucko. Well, that's like
I never thought I had it hard. I don't know why you keep calling me Bucko either, too.
Well, 20-year-olds fucking have it a little harder than you. And like, oh, sure, they have more access to technology, but that doesn't. That's sort of like a non sequitur, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't mean shit to me. Like, because like, oh, some kid can get on an app and run Uber, DoorDash or something, and like they have access to like a little bit of money. Like, they're not being considered at all, is my point. Like, young men.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Why you called me Bucko earlier? I didn't say anything about DoorDash or this guy could get on.
No, I'm saying that, like, because young people have all, they get to experience like all these great technology advancements, that.
Okay. Who said anything about technology and advancement?
Men in general, or old fucks, like, oh, you've got it easy, like you're a spoiled brat, like, fuck you, dude. Like, boomers don't. I'm not saying that directly at you. I'm saying like to the old fucks, the
whatever you want, man.
The fucking boomers. All these people want to fucking. Oh yeah, you got it easy. Like, we had it so hard when we were young. You had a real country compared to now. Nowadays, like, people don't get, young men are just being discarded, not being considered, and it's disgusting.
Okay, Claire, can you translate for me? What was that guy just talking about?
I think he's expressing dissatisfaction with the older generation for not leaving the country in a better state, so that he too can feel that life is getting better instead of getting worse. And he blames the previous generation. I think that's the gist of what he's saying.
So what was it I said, like, that his generation has it so great? Where did I even say that or come close to that?
Well, you're saying that $60,000 a year or minimum wage is so high. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. It's unfathomable. It's like, well, wait, $14 an hour. I can't even get a pack of smokes and a fucking 6-pack of beer. I got to work fucking all day, and I can't afford a fucking Big Mac. Like, fuck this fucking society. And then you got women on TikTok and OnlyFans. They don't want nothing to do with you. You go to a Burger King, it's a foreigner. You don't get to interact with women of your own age, or your looks match, women that might, you might be want to pursue as a a possible wife. Like, you don't even get access to women. You have to deal with you have to deal with foreign invaders when you go to a McDonald's, and you can't afford the Big Mac because your little $14 an hour job ain't enough to eat out at Arby's.
Okay, so my bad. You jumped back to like an hour ago thing on $14 an hour, but let's go with that. So $14 an hour. How much is a Big Mac?
A used car is 10 grand.
How much is a Big Mac?
I don't know, 12, 14 bucks probably.
Okay, so it's 1 hour's worth of work, right?
Perhaps, or
okay. So back in the day when my first job, I worked at Albertsons. It was $3.30 an hour was the minimum wage. That was probably the price of a Big Mac. Do you not understand relativity?
Maybe, but you're discounting the fact that everything that we need costs more, and everything that we want is cheap.
Not relatively.
Everything we want is cheap. You can get a fucking flat screen TV at Walmart. You can have your little, your little phone or whatever on a special, plan. You can get a nice, cool phone for cheap, but you can't afford food or rent. Like all the things you need are expensive. When my boomer parents were coming along, they could, getting a fancy stereo was sort of something, you had to maybe think about. But rent was normal. It wasn't that big a deal. Even for me, and I'm a little older, I'm not that young. When I was a kid, a teenager, you could get a pack of smokes for less than $3. You could get an apartment or a studio apartment for less than $500 a month. Now it's fucking $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 a month just to get an apartment.
But minimum wage was $3 an hour, and now it's $14 an hour. It's all relative, dude.
Yeah, and I'm saying
that. Do you not understand that?
I get that. Like, okay, we're making more, but everything costs more. So you're not facing any there's no issue here, right? But we're forgetting the change of the country. When Gen Xers and Boomers went to a McDonald's, they had a blonde, fucking pretty Stacy, at the register. Now you got to deal with a computer. There is no women at this McDonald's. It's literally foreign invaders and every race and ethnic group and religious group that's outside your own being. That's who you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I've talked to boomers and guys, late Gen Xers, they never even saw a black person for most of their young life. They might have been 23 years old till they even saw a non-white person in their lives. Now they're flooded with immigrants. There is really no real job. Everyone's sort of poor. Whatever job you do, like I said earlier, whether you're making $10 an hour or $30 an hour, you're not breaking through this system with that kind of money. You're just going to be, getting by and maybe, drive a Toyota.
Okay. So it's about the person serving you.
It's social trust, social capital, having like a sense of like that you belong every boomer I ever met never visited their home, never goes to their hometown or even drives through it because it's a shithole. It's this idea that like you have to pick up and move and hustle bustle and make more money and try to get out of, basically work your butt and work your tail off so you can get away from the non-whites and the brown hordes of America. Like, you're trying to get to that lily white suburb. Well, you're not even going to do that because your own women don't even want anything to do with you at this point. Like, men are basically over half of men are probably incel at this point, maybe more.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading the chat. It says Mike is a doofus. Like, even 25 years ago, you could get a good house for $100K. Yeah, I bought my first house for $33,000. It was a nice house, and that was 1993, 94 maybe. But anyways,
well, not only did they buy houses cheap, they made profits and were able to upgrade. And now they left their hometown. They left My friends, they're the town I grew up, all the boomers, we had a nice lily white suburb. Every boomer had 2 kids. Now you go visit that town, it's full of foreigners, it's full of people on drugs. They got high rises they're building. It's a dead town. And all the white people left and moved to some fancy part of town because they made oodles of money selling it to some Mexican. And now they're rich. And then white people, young white men in America, I don't want to make it race totally, because even like non-white men are probably facing some troubles. Like they have to work hard too, and they're not getting nothing because they can't even. I mean, well, maybe they are. I don't know. I see it worse. I see it worse for the white men, because they want to have a life. They want to be able to not have to do something. You have to really put in time and effort and get smart and do all these extra steps to be able to have a nice life in America, and that's ridiculous in my opinion.
Who is Andy Nowicki?
Andy Nowicki, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah, Nowicki, something like
Andy
that.
Andy Nowicki's a YouTuber. He's divorced. He's a doof, just kind of a dorky white guy who got divorced.
Somebody said I'm his
Catholic.
cousin. Somebody said I'm
Well,
his
he's
cousin.
Catholic too. And he did appear on Koraniyule maybe 2 years ago.
I like Andy
Nowicki.
I like Andy Nowicki. I listen to his YouTube channel occasionally. I gotta I have to move the the playback speed to like 1.5 or 1.75. Otherwise, he's just too slow for me to listen to. But I like Andy Nowicki's YouTube channel. I think he's he talks about things that are prescient or current events. So he's a good YouTuber, but nobody watches his channel. I mean, fuck, Claire Kopp probably gets more views. No offense. No offense. And Claire,
it's very depressing. I used to subscribe to him, but it.
Somebody says at least depressing. I like Jethro Tull. How would they know I like Jethro Tull?
You're being kind of stereotyped as a boomer.
Mike, they can just take a look at you. They can look at you and be like, "Yeah, that's a Jethro Tull idiot." No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to.
What is it? Something about snot running down his nose.
Have you ever been so hated, Mike?
Jethro Tull for us with your sexy voice. Snotting running down his nose.
Oh, and Claire, I'm not trying to snipe you about views or whatever.
Claire, please, can you sing Jethro Tull for us?
No, Claire, I just want me to say this. I do watch your channel occasionally, and I think you have some interesting guests on, but it's hard to, let's just be real about it. You're like this woman, from Europe talking about American politics, and it's just tough to get people to want to watch. I don't think you're I really don't think you're I think you're a smart woman, intelligent lady. You have a nice voice, and it's, I'd like to see you get more views, and I'm sad that that's not happening for you. It's tough to get engagement on YouTube. So
I know, and also I'm not being promoted as some social media influencers are, because I have a terrible solution, which I think would solve your problems, Thomas, except that, you can't bring yourself to accept it, because, obviously to solve the problem, you white people will have to marry each other and stay together and be responsible married parents to produce the next generation of
men don't want to be wallets. Men don't want to be wallets to frumpy women that have been ran through and had a lot of experiences and don't really like the men that they're with. That's why I'm against marriage or settling down with a Western woman. It's not that I don't want that to see that happen. It's just that it's not really workable. Because
I suppose you could just say in theory.
Men want desire. You're not getting desire from your own women. They actively hate you. White women do not want anything to do with the average white man. That's just how
Because
it
they
is.
blame you. They blame you for allowing all this that you've been complaining about to happen. It's like, yeah, you're muscling in on their territory. It's only women who complain without proposing solutions. But if men do the same thing, they are kind of considered to be muscling in on female territory. I know women also muscle in on male territory, but I think just by complaining without proposing a solution, I think men fall into that category, and that I think is why they produce. They generate that hatred. It's like, hey, you should have kept things better, and if you don't like it, you should solve the problem yourself. Don't look at us. What do you expect us to do? Vote. What party could they vote for in America? I mean, it's only Democrat and Republican, isn't it? I mean, who is anybody to vote for? Even a Jew. If you don't like immigration, then all the things that you've
There is
described.
no one to
Thomas.
vote for. There is no one to vote.
Yeah. So the system is kaput, and if only people would just say, voting doesn't seem to work. And okay, and my other thing is I keep referring to George Washington's farewell speech, and he warned all those years ago not to form political parties, and he's been ignored. And if Trump wants a legacy, he'll have to ban political parties, but he may not do that because maybe he's scared of all that hatred and accusations he's going to be accused of.
Well, I see things as more as like top down. This whole society is being organized and planned from the top. Like us, talking about stuff on the internet, we have no effect on politics at all, or the culture, in my opinion. And to not give a shit or worry about what it is that young men care about or what they want, or that's not being considered at all. We're just actively being attacked, and you're just supposed to man up, buck up, pick up your fucking, the whole bootstrap argument. Just work harder, and someday you'll get a woman and a house if you just really put your nose to the grind and really get your hands dirty, and you'll be okay. It'll work out for you. That's just not the case. That's hooey.
But I suppose the problem is that you're not getting support from your fathers, right? I mean, what does your father say to your complaints, Thomas?
How are you supposed to date a young girl as a young man when you don't even get to meet her father because she doesn't have a father? There isn't any fathers, especially in the Black community, but even in the white community, young people don't have families. Many of their family lives in the different states. You're on your own as a young man, as a young white man in America or in Western society. No one's there to help you, care about you. You're just supposed to just grind it out and just figure it out. And it's like, well, why should we? What the fuck for? There is no incentive.
Well, to have a better life, but don't you see that the family unit is a kind of self-help group, a buddy group, and I guess Mike has done better because his family have managed to stay together and they help each other out, and it's a big family, and because he's Catholic, I guess. Would you say that's a reason, Mike?
No, he's old. Mike's old. He's older than me.
So he had the benefit of family structures to, support him, and
Yeah, young people don't have that. They don't have friends. In fact, COVID. People don't talk about the effects of COVID on young people and how that the social dynamics with how that would affect young people, where they weren't even allowed to go to school.
Yes, and all the mobile devices.
I would say yes, you are correct. My parents have been married for 60 My parents have been married for over 60 years. My oldest brother's been married for over 30 years. My oldest sister is a widow, but so yes, we have all bound together as family. Myself as an anomaly.
Hmm. So that's a solution. We just have to um, respect the institutions of marriage and the family. And I know it's very difficult, but surely at this stage we can say maybe this is what we need. Maybe this
let me
is
just
what
let me
religion
just
is
say
for.
something. Let me just really get this out here.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, I'm not worried about like white people surviving. Like white people are going to be fine. Like yeah, they're going to lose their country as majorities. Whether it's Europe or America, there's going to be a lot less white people in the future. But a lot of white people are going to be just fine. But the half of white men aren't going to be just fine, and no one gives a shit about them. And I'm just here to just, remind people that there's a lot of white people and men in these countries that they have no incentive structure. No, they're not being cared about, looked about. They're just being discarded. And people can say that's not a big deal or whatever. Like, oh yeah, like, what do you mean, Thomas? There's a bunch of people that are, having real estate success or investments, with Bitcoin or whatever the fuck. The point is like a lot of young men in the West are just going to be just basically cut off to any of this stuff. They're not going to like slip through the cracks. And for you people to not care about that or, have any concern about that's a little disturbing at the very least.
Well, first of all, I think you're wrong because people have been raising this alarm bell for at least the last 20 years that I can remember. There's a lot of women who are saying, yeah, we love that women are being moved forward, but we're leaving boys behind. There are all sorts of people, even Fareed Zakaria. I don't know if you know who he is. He's on Global GPS. He's an Indian. He talks about white men being left behind with mechanization. AI is obviously going to be a whole turning point on how do 50% of non-college educated white males make their living through driving, through delivering things. What happens when you mechanize all the cars? People are talking about this all the time.
But not only that,
Tucker Carlson talks about it. I mean, certainly you
but
watch
see, here's the
Tucker
thing.
Carlson. There's all sorts of people who talk about this.
It's like they're taking the driver jobs and the truck driving is going to be automated and all this automation.
Right.
But we literally allowed the West to be invaded by the non-white world. So now we got all these non-white men into the Western world, and they're not going to have any jobs, nothing to do. We're going to have to wait for, they're going to have drones flying around dropping off your package. So what are people supposed to do? And all the right wingers want to say it's capitalism. It's like, you gotta figure it out and, have all this ingenuity and have some new idea to break through American society. We're just going to have a fucking country full of white men and non-white men with nothing to do. And you're supposed to work hard and just figure it out. And then, it'll be okay if you just put in enough hours. Like, this isn't going to.
No. Listen, you're making a great argument. And I'm not disagreeing with your argument. There is a tipping point of where we have too much labor, too much things are automated to where we don't need a lot of labor. The problem is you keep talking about white men and non-white men.
We're talking about the West, the Western world.
You should just be saying
America's supposed to be.
We're going to have too much labor and too much automation. right? That is the tipping point. When cars start driving themselves, when taxis start flying themselves. I mean, I'm invested in Joby, EVOL, all these flying taxi companies, right? When you get in a city, when a pizza gets delivered by a drone, that's going to eliminate the Domino's driver, right? But you keep putting it in as race, like the white men aren't going to be out. Well, the Mexicans going to be out of those jobs. Those who do those jobs right now are the Mexicans, the Hispanics.
Well, I'm
The
concerned
non-white.
about the world when it comes to like the country, America, the West, Australia, Europe, America,
Sure.
Canada. We're talking about white guys. We're not talking about the non-white invaders. Who cares what they get? White men aren't getting anything. Like you got to fucking apply for 100 jobs and you don't even get a call back because they got feminism now and they got the non-whites now. So the Fortune 500 companies, the Fortune 500 is actively discriminating against white men, heterosexual men who want to have a lady, a nice looks match woman in their life, and you're not even being considered to be hired. All the fucking jobs where I live, whether it's an ambulance driver, even a police officer, they're not even done. They're done by women now. All the women have all the jobs, and then they don't want to share. They want to fucking find some guy who makes more money than them. Well, if men don't have jobs like being a police officer or an ambulance driver, I mean, or Fortune 500 companies are looking to actively hire women and the non-whites and the homosexuals. What are white men supposed to do? We just talked about it. The truck driving industry's kaput. It's going to be all automated eventually. We got a whole lot of white guys that aren't going to get anything. And then what are they supposed to do? Oh, clean toilets, bucko. Like, why should they? What for?
Okay, well, at this point, I think white guys are supposed to be elevated above the toilet cleaning stage, but no doubt, if you're an uneducated white guy, you just want to get into an entry-level position, you're competing with a Mexican, you're competing with a Hispanic, no doubt about it.
Which is, kind of unacceptable and wrong, really. Like this is white supremacy. This idea that we need to fucking have the non-white world do the roofing and clean the toilets and all these fucking menial, just low tier work, low end jobs. The idea that we have to, like so nice lily white educated liberals can enjoy their nice life. So we got to, hire Mexicans to do all the fucking stupid jobs just so they can feel good about themselves at night. Fuck that. That's unacceptable. This arrangement is ridiculous. If you're if you're a white man and you have a couple of white kids as a millennial or even a Gen Xer, they're going to have a harder life than, the boomers had it. And this, it needs to be highlighted that you have to, do all these, hustle bustle, have 3 jobs and an extra hustle and be doing all these things to get, to thrive in America. It's outrageous to me. We have the technology, the engineering, we have the modernity. We shouldn't have to have people working all the time to live in an apartment.
Right. Well, it's funny. I see somebody says, yes, I remember when I was a kid, my dad would send me to Chipotle for lunch with a 10. Holy shit. I mean, I would go to McDonald's with $1 back in the 70s. But anyway, the point is the goals are always shifting. The goalposts are always shifting.
Yeah, things change and shit happens. And
right. I used to mow lawns in the 70s and the 80s for $5. Right. I would mow an old lady's lawn. I get $5. Nowadays that would be crazy or whatever. So
Well, let's say you get $20 as a white boy going down the street to mow the neighbor's yard for some, old lady.
I don't think anybody allows kids to mow their lawns anymore because you got liability. Kid ends up running his own foot over or something, and
Yeah,
you get
everybody's untrusting. You can't trust
Right.
anyone. We're all on
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah.
And everyone's
I remember in the 80s when you saw all these pickup trucks and vans with Michigan license plates. They were these guys who came out of Michigan who, when they couldn't build cars anymore, they came down to Florida, and next thing you know, they're taking over the lawn industry. When I was a kid, we did it as kids, and I used to use other people's lawnmowers sometimes, and blah blah blah. But once the Michigan guys came down, and now it's all professional lawnmowers, and they make pretty good money. My one buddy who I went to high school with, his son started his own company.
That's part of the problem. I'm reading the chat. It's like we have immigration issues where young teenage boys and girls they're not a part of this economy. It's just immigrants and Mexicans. So a young teenage white kid could mow lawns till the cows come home, and he ain't getting his looks matched to take out to a movie and a date. You're not getting access to your own women. You're gonna have to just find a different job because Mexicans took that job. You're not going to work at McDonald's and be able to flirt with a nice, pretty blonde girl because she's on OnlyFans and TikTok monetizing her youth and beauty. This is a problem where men are not being considered. You're an older guy, Mike, and I'm not, and this is not, by the way, this entire conversation is not a personal attack on yourself. I'm not trying to attack you personally, but I know you have nephews or people, young men in your family that aren't being considered at all with these challenges that they face. They're not being considered. They're actually being actively attacked, that they need to figure it out and they need to work hard. Don't be a baby, don't be a little sissy boy. And it's like, well, wait, like there isn't no incentive structure for them, and you should probably take that into consideration when you go to your Christmas dinner or whatever, and you see young people of your family, young boys, and what their plight is going to look like. Because unless you're in the upper echelon, they're facing tough times when it comes to just social capital, social trust, friendship, to be able to attract a nice lady to maybe bed and wed and have children with. They're not being considered, and they're being kind of almost picked on. I would say young white men are being picked on and attacked.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't. Don't worry, I wasn't taking anything you said about me personally. I don't get offended easily, so no big deal.
Well, they're certainly being neglected because I think it's a way the way political parties are trying to get votes, and the biggest group of voters is the female voter, and it's only through getting the female voter to vote for you as a political party do you win the election. I mean, that's the reality of it. Well, I know Ann Coulter said she was prepared to consider giving up her vote to avoid another Democrat president, but obviously she's not being taken seriously. Maybe she never meant it seriously, but I think that is a problem. That's why political parties go more towards giving more regulation, protecting women from their stupidity, more free stuff for women. That is really the only model you can use in order to win an election under the current system, which is why I reject it. But it seems to me that it's a Labour management problem.
Thomas asked, I mean, My father was the first person in his family to go to college, but now the generation under me, I'm the only one within my generation that doesn't have an advanced degree, and so we're all doing fine. But yeah, I get it. If you're,
Not everybody can be a CEO, and that's like my big problem.
right.
With this like being I'm sick of striving culture. You need to be a striver, bucko. Go to college, get all these degrees, advancement degrees. Just be smarter than everyone else. A lot of young men aren't capable, or they don't have the IQ. But the idea that they should have to live in a society where they're being just discarded and not care, not a thought's been given to them. We Not everybody can win. You can't have everybody highly educated and working some administrative job. There's going to be We need welders and electricians, and we need
Sure.
laborers. And to just say, what, forget about the white men, we'll just import the third world, and they can fucking make sure that the railroad tracks don't have too many rats on them. Like, this is bullshit. We need people from all different walks of life, or status, different station in life, whether it's the laborer or the tradesman or the educated. And frankly, let's just get this on record. Like, even if you are educated, like, what do you get? 80,000 a year, 90,000 a year? You might be an administrative person at a Fortune 500 company, but which I just explained, they're not going to hire you as a white guy. They're going to hire some feminist fucking frumpy broad. So you're not getting that job. You're not getting the ambulance driver job. You're not getting the police officer job. Hell, you're not even going to get a job at the railroad anymore, or a truck driving job. Like, so do what? What are we to do? And then also, by the way, you're not getting laid either. You're not. Your women are on OnlyFans or on TikTok, or they're monetizing their sexuality. Like, and then you got to like, just breed, bucko. Make sure the white race doesn't die. Hook up with a 31-year-old woman who's done drugs and fucked a homie. Like, why should men put up with this?
Well, they need to propose an alternative, and you know what I propose, Thomas, to restore the patriarchy and produce the next generation of workers, which has to be, your own fellow Americans. Any society must have a working class and look after it, or shit happens. And this means people being prepared to do
I mean,
their own work.
at this point, you might as well just hag max. I mean, if you're a 20, 33, 40, let's say you're 34 years old, white guy, just go with the 70-year-old woman, some boomer white woman, and just take her money after she dies. Why would you want to deal with a 32-year-old white woman who's covered in tattoos, who's overweight, who fucked a bunch of different races, maybe even has a black kid? Like, you're gonna marry her and maybe like make it work? Like, just hag max. Go after the old broad, take her money. Maybe she'll give a little, leave you some money. Like, I mean, if you're going for 30-year-old women, you might as well just go for 70-year-old women with money.
But then you won't be making babies.
It's an interesting world you guys live in, because I just had a alumni basketball game for my high school, and several people came down from different states, and one guy's a gynecologist, another guy's a lawyer, blah blah blah. But anyway, they all have very happy marriages. They've all managed to live a good life. I don't know why you're so angry about non-whites. I mean, I'm a white guy, and I think we have probably too many Mexicans in the country. In fact, we were talking and we said, well, if we eliminate welfare and eliminate, all the immigrants coming in, you have a wash, right? There's about 12 million people seeking asylum. There's about 12 million people on welfare. Just cut them both off.
So
Right.
funny. People talk about like, oh, the race stuff. It's like I had friends of mine. They went to the Kentucky Derby last year,
Yeah.
and they had a little Uber
You
service.
don't know Dave Puckett, do you?
Well, they had but they had a little Uber cab service to take them to the Kentucky Derby, and they specifically said, "Do not leave the resort. The resort. You cannot leave. You'll be attacked. You'll be mugged. You'll be robbed, raped. The idea like, oh, it's not that bad to having all these foreigners in your country. You go to these different events, whether it's the Indianapolis 500, the Kentucky Derby, like the white people who have money, they might have won a trip or got a free ride to go hang out and spend time in these events, and they're literally told, don't leave the resort because you'll
Sure.
be
I'm 100% against illegal.
You'll lose your fucking life driving around and at night in some of these areas in like Arizona or even in Texas or in the South or in Illinois area.
My one buddy got into a Uber out of LAX, and it wasn't his actual Uber, and the guy put a gun to his head and stole his Rolex. So we
live in different times where it's just not talked about. The fact that like these events, you need to be wealthy, and if you're not first of all, the chances of you going to like something like the Kentucky Derby, it needs to be funded by like a corporation or a free ride. You're not, the average working class guy isn't even going to be able to go to these events, and if they did, they couldn't even leave the resort because they'd get robbed, they would get attacked, they would get assaulted. And then you wonder why are you talking about the race stuff so much? It's like, well, literally all of America, full of crime. Carjackings are through the roof in my state. I live in Minnesota, Midwest. You drive here.
You live in Minnesota. You got the Somalis with their the Somalis.
So the racial issue is important. It matters. And I've been to plenty of fucking poor podunk white areas, and they're not gonna, sure, they're not perfect, or they might, they steal stuff because they're on, meth and stuff. But the problems that young white guys have to deal with, like I said earlier in the stream, I mean, boomers never even saw a black person their entire young adult life, and here, they got to like flirt with their looks match at a McDonald's. You're not getting any of that with young white people. I think that really what bothers me the most is like the demographics. No one considers people in their 20s, in their teenage years, in the current year, what their situation looks like. You can't even like get in. Most people can't imagine or walk in their shoes, and that's kind of fucked up. That's not being considered. We're still worried about Social Security. Worried about housing prices. The boomers are worried about, not losing everything at the expense of their children. And it's absurd. It's abhorrent.
I don't get it. Why are boomers concerned about not losing all their money for their children? Abhorrent.
So they get to live another 5 years in their little McMansion while their children and grandchildren have to deal with the third world in this high-tech society where there's no jobs and no real upward mobility. You can't make it. You can't get. First of all, let's just get another thing. There's no $30 an hour jobs for 25-year-old white guys. And even if you did get that job, you're not going to get a woman that's like suitable to marry and have children with.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure you can get a $30 an hour job as a Gen X or boomer.
No, as a young man.
I'm still like confused. So like my parents they're not even boomers. My parents are post World War II.
The silent generation.
Yeah, my mom's 90 years old. My dad's 87. They have $3.5 million or something. They just went into the old folks home. It's a $250,000 buy-in, $6,000 a month. But my dad's pension, covers that.
Yeah, and in fact, they shouldn't be allowed that. All this fucking senior living, that's what annoys me, that annoys the fuck out of me. That the boomers literally get to be away from diversity, DEI hires. They get to be away from all the foreign invaders. They've got all these nice little tucked away little like gated communities where they're away from the struggle that young men face in America and in the West.
Mm.
They don't have to deal with all the problems because they get to, like, be isolated from it because of the money they have, and then not consider their children or their grandchildren and what they have to deal with. It's disgusting, man. It's fucking sick.
What say you, Claire?
Well, I suppose you can't pretend these problems don't exist. All I'm saying is we have to recognize the problem for what it is and propose solutions. And so I think what Thomas is saying is that he's not incentivized to try hard because he hasn't got a woman he fancies and loves and would like to marry and have children with, and he is very angry, very bitter, and just not motivated to do any of the things that a young man in love and hoping to be a married father would do, because of the low quality women. And the only way to raise the quality of women is to slut shame, but then men are transfixed and by the problem of, well, if they say they're not feminists, if they say they are anti-feminists, they're not going to get any sex. So they are on the horns of a dilemma, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are old people. I don't think they care that much about sex. So for instance, my dad worked for Honeywell in the Space and Strategic Avionics Division for 40 years. And he retired at like 58, I think.
Mike, that's what I'm getting at, man. You could work for 3M or Honeywell as a 25-year-old Western man, but you're not going to get anything that your granddaddy or your dad got. Like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have the opportunities that they had with their women. It's not even about like economics or owning homes so much. Like, you're just not going to have that access to your women, and women are the driving factor, the driving force of the economy. So if you can't get it, even if you get a job at Honeywell or 3M, you're not getting a woman who's suitable to marry and have a family with. So that's
I disagree. I disagree 100%. My sister's married to my brother-in-law who works for Honeywell. They've been married for 30 some years. My oldest brother's been married for.
We're talking about today, Bucko. We're talking about today, Bucko.
Okay, Bucko. Okay, Bucko. You can still marry a woman today.
No, you can't actually. You really can't.
No, you can't.
Why not? You're not getting access to women
Bucko?
In a factory or working in some big corporation where you're like laborer for fucking 10, 15, 12 hours a day. You're not going to get access to housing and women in the way that boomers and Gen Xers did. And that's a fucking fact. You can't deny that. You can't argue with me with that. That's just how it is.
Okay. So if some guy out of college marries a woman out of college today, how can they not stay married for the next 50 years?
It's just not happening. I mean, women's the age, the average
there's
age
no full divorce.
No, the average age of marriage is like 29 for a woman. 20. You're gonna marry a 29-year-old woman? I mean, she's been fucking for 15 years. You're gonna marry her? She's probably fat and got like a bull ring. Ugh.
Okay, so you don't want to marry any woman over the age of what, 22?
25 would be a decent mark.
Okay, right. So that's on you. That doesn't mean someone can't marry
settle
a
for
woman.
less then, huh, Bucko? Settle for less? Settle for a frumpy fat girl who fucked up homie and who had a lot of sex and a lot of fun and who really doesn't like you will probably divorce you. Probably get divorced.
Okay.
Paying child
Okay.
support. You're gonna be paying child support there, Bucko.
Okay. You can keep saying bucko. I don't know even know what that means. That sounds Canadian, but bucko. If you're a 29-year-old man and you want to marry a 29-year-old woman, you could stay married for the next 60 years. Right?
You're gonna live to 90. I already said it earlier.
Yes,
I don't.
you can live to 90.
I do not believe that the life expectancy is growing or at peak levels. I think there's a spiritual aspect to this. I think there's like a vibe in the air. I do not believe millennials will live as long as boomers. I think millennials will die before their boomer parents. I think I already know a lot of them.
Okay.
I've
50
experienced
years.
it. I know a lot of millennials, they're already fucking dead because they have no reason to be here. This country is not for you as a white man who's under the age of 40. They're not going to live to 80 like fucking Donald Trump. Donald Trump's fucking, all these fucking politicians, they're fucking 80 fucking years old. Yeah, try living to 80 working in the railroad, working in a factory, breathing in chemicals all day. This idea you're going to live till 80, 90 years old, I think most millennials will be dead before 60, maybe 70. We'll be charitable. Like the idea that, oh yeah, we're going to live till like 80 years old. I do not believe the younger generations have the will and the spirit to live that long when a country actively is against them, hates them, wants nothing to do with them, wants them to fucking just go away. You're a nuisance. You're
Okay.
screwing up.
Claire, what do you think?
Oh,
What do you think the millennials will live to?
well, the thing is, even if they live long, they probably won't be allowed to retire because of the wars that have to be paid for. In the UK, they keep raising the retirement age. And then I suppose when
Okay.
you finally do get to retire, they will offer you the option of assisted euthanasia. So
How
you never
long do
get
you
to
think
claim.
they will live to?
I don't know. It depends on, whether World War
Okay.
III blows up, whether they
You don't
can
know.
afford to,
That's
their
fine. You can say
groceries.
you don't know.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's not looking good for anyone really. I mean, it's just possible that even for the boomers with their McMansions, as Thomas was saying, they if the market turns, they won't be able to sell it, right? And they won't have an income because all their money is tied up in property, and it won't. Well, terrible things could happen.
Right. And that's why it's good for Gen X. I don't know how old you are, Claire, or how old Thomas is, but I'm counting on when the boomers die off, there'll be a glutton of condos here in Florida, and I can pick up a lot of property cheap.
Okay. But I mean, not relying on these, peaks and troughs of the market. There should be some kind of
demographic
government
shifts
policy.
should be obvious to everyone. So
What should
we're
be
gonna have a
obvious
glut.
to everyone?
You guys should Google, like Clearwater Beach and St. Petersburg and Seminole, Florida. You'll see we have a massive. When I was a kid, there was like one building that was more than 3 stories tall on Sand Key Beach, and now it looks like Miami Beach. But so, anyways, I'm pretty sure I can pick up a lot of property cheap once the baby boomers start dying off.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, the government should do something about it, but obviously they don't care because the
No, the government shouldn't do anything about it. You should let the market.
Mike, why does it matter? Like, why does it matter that you can pick up some property like a little cheap after some boomers die? Like, oh, you're gonna give a little bit of better net, you're gonna have a higher, You're gonna have a
it
more,
matters.
more money. You're gonna have more money, a higher net value. Like I'm wealthy now. I'm a 49-year-old fucking white dude who has a little bit of money. Like, but you don't have a family. You don't have kids, right? Like, why does this matter? Like, who cares that your little personal little gain and like, monetarily, you got a little like wiggle room now. You're not poor, but it doesn't really like address the fact that like young men don't want anything to do with the society or be a part of it. They would rather just room rot and watch porn and play like video games and just get away from get away from the society. Well, by room rotting and not having to deal with it. Like, a handful of people are going to be able to make some market gains and they'll have a little bit higher net value or, net gain. Like that doesn't really mean fuck all, man. Like,
okay. I'm not sure what rim rotting means.
More money. I got to get more money. I'm gonna increase my little.
I do want more money. Yes. Is this guy like a moron or something? Yes, I want more money.
Yeah, you'll have more money, but why do you need more money? Like, you have enough. Like, what do you need money for? You're not reproducing. You're not.
It's for security.
Security.
Do you not understand what
security. Okay,
yes.
Fine. Like, okay, you gained a little more and on your on your fleeting years. And you got and you're gonna give it to what your nephews, hopefully.
Yes.
Well, that'll be good. Most boomers aren't going to give any of their money to their fucking offspring. I mean, even rich fucking hotshot millionaires say they're not giving their kids any money. Bill Gates, all these hotshots. Boomers aren't giving their money. That's another misnomer. All these fucking boomers are going to, and millennials are going to be riding high because all the boomers are going to die. Like, they're not giving that money to, a lot of boomers aren't giving their children anything. They're fucking, they actively hate the youth. And they're not, spreading the wealth. They're hogging it. They're hogs. Boomers are hogs.
What do you expect boomers to do?
This guy is awesome.
I expect parents of children to want to see them have a better life than their own. And you're not seeing that. What's up, Judas? How you doing, Bucko?
So Thomas,
I have a question.
Have your parents like disavowed you or something? They've told you they're not leaving any money behind for you?
No, my dad. My boomer dad died like 15 years ago.
Okay.
And my mother's retired and lives on Social Security.
Okay.
By the way, Mike, I'm 40 years old. It's not about what I think or want or it's not about even my like plight. It's about young men. What do young men have to like strive for, look forward to? Young men live in a foreign land. Like, I don't want to repeat myself, but you're actively discriminated against. You're the new homie, the new N-word as a white person living in the West. You don't get access to technology, you don't get access to fucking income, upward mobility, and feminism is part of that. Feminism certainly in the way of that, but also the foreign invaders, the lack of opportunity, the fact that the West doesn't create or build anything. It's just a casino economy. Just get good at sports betting, I guess. I mean, like, there is little to no incentive for young men, people that are half my age, to really like thrive in this country. And by the way, sure, I will admit there are advantages in this world when it comes to like tech and possibilities, but there's going to be a lot of forgotten men, and that's my concern. That yes, you can slip through the cracks, you can figure it out as a individual. But a lot of the Western men in the world, the young men of the West, are going to be cannon fodder.
Yeah, Mike doesn't care. He's just gonna get his like condo, and he's gonna have 8 condos and like not live in all but one of them. He's just gonna keep on stacking up his 401k. He's gonna keep a number going up for no reason at all. No kids, no nothing. And he's gonna tell us all that he's the fucking winner while he's the fucking biggest loser on this whole goddamn panel. You rot in hell.
That's awesome, dude.
I'm gonna break down your fucking window with a brick and steal all your shit while you
That's
smoke and
awesome,
cry on
dude.
this panel.
I'll have to remove you, sadly, Amnesia. For the
No,
so
don't remove him. Come on. Let him
Are
do
you
what
sure
he
you're
wants.
okay?
I love it when you call me
Well,
Biggie Pops. Put your hands in the air.
Yeah, get ready
please,
for the day of the
keep
pillow,
playing.
you dumb boomer. That Somalian's gonna fucking smother you with that pillow.
Tell this nigger I live at 12631 Frank Drive South, Seminole, Florida. Come by any time, motherfucker.
Why would I want to do that?
I thought you were a badass motherfucker.
I think his point, Mike, was that he's not going to need to. That like you're going to suffer from what's happening in the.
You're gonna die alone,
That's probably true. I will die alone. There's no doubt.
and you
about
want us
that.
to be like you? You think that's a good idea? Oh, just work.
No, you don't have to be like me. You just gotta come, show, throw your shade
What?
on me, motherfucker.
I have a question for Mike, and I hate to pile on, but just after you called Thomas a
no
moron,
worries.
I was curious. Are you like are you a Fed or something, or like what's your how did you come to be on the stream tonight? I'm just curious because I don't know anything about what's going on.
Did you ask? Am I a Fed?
Yes, because you're definitely rich,
Yeah.
right? You said your dad worked for space, so that's pretty suspicious. That's very Fed adjacent, in my opinion, right? Like a really rich NASA type. It's very Fed adjacent.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not a Fed.
Okay. It's just
we met through trolling Muslims, Mike and I.
Space
That's
isn't even
how we
real,
met.
so that's how you know this guy's fake. So.
Yeah, well, it's neither here nor there. But you talked about how you're like a really rich, you're very well off and stuff. But so I'm just curious if you're in these spaces at all. Seeing as you're on this panel tonight, like, do you watch?
Hold the fucking phone. This idea that Mike's well off and that we should be just like him, he's childless. He's got $500,000 in his 401k. Like, that's something to strive for as a young 23-year-old man. Like, I get to be like Mike someday. Like, that's
Exactly.
not really something. And that's not a snipe at you, Mike. I'm not trying to talk personally bad about you. But like, why should men strive to live the life you lived, where you end up childless and you have a couple 100,000 in your 401k? Like, that's like something to fucking brag about.
Just work really hard, and one day you'll eat a microwave dinner on Christmas Day with no family.
Mike, so you're childless?
I am childless.
You were talking about marriage earlier. Do you have a spouse or a significant other or something like that?
No, I have no spouse. I have no children.
Hold on a second. You said it was so easy to get married and how all the guys should be able to do this quite without much, difficulty, but you yourself don't have that.
He's gay.
You don't see that as kind of a contradiction? No, I'm just saying. You don't see that if you're well off and you have resources, yet you couldn't find one. You're expecting the younger men to find one. Is that how do you consolidate that?
Okay, I'm not sure where you claim I said it was easy to get married, but
you told Thomas that no more than 20 minutes ago. Thomas was arguing how hard it is, and you said that men could. You said that it's crazy he didn't want to marry a 29-year-old. So you were implying that it's not difficult to do. That was my impression.
Okay. Yes, I agree. It is not difficult to get married.
Okay, but you didn't do it. So how come you didn't do it then?
Well, I fell in love with a woman who is.
No, you're gay, dude. Just say it. Just tell.
No,
everyone what we all know.
I'm genuinely curious. I'm trying to get a baseline here.
Okay, so I fell in love with a woman who is 16 years older than me.
Bruh. Okay.
And I wanted to marry her, but she didn't want to marry me, and then we never got married. And by that time, I was in my late 30s, and so I never got married.
So, do you see how women have all the power? They are the choosers. They are the leaders, as in they get to decide who gets to procreate, who gets to get married, who gets to have sex, and that is the power dynamic that is kind of the through line that's led us to where we are today. With I know you don't seem to understand the collapse is real, and this is doomer porn, but it's very much so happening now. We can measure it metrically. It's happening in a very dangerous pace now, right? And a big factor of that, not a whole component, but a big factor of it is the women's out of control power they have now, right? Like, why didn't she want to marry you? You know, so what did she end up doing? Do you know, or maybe just
no,
He
she
wasn't.
just
He didn't
went,
have enough money.
she
He
just
needed
went her
18
own
more
way.
condos.
yeah.
So he had something.
So you see how that's kind of fucked up though. Like the women
No,
are not
that's not
incentivized.
fucked up. If she don't
What-
want to get married, she doesn't have to get married.
Okay, well, women have always desired that very much so. Like even pre-feminism, they really did want that. They didn't want to be creepy old spinster childless weirdos that they are today. These feminist creatures, not feminine, but feminist creatures that are trying to be some sort of hybrid Chad, but don't see the long-term ramifications of not procreating. Like, you seem to be very anti-white people from what Thomas was saying, but white people in the first world is what makes the world go around, and that's not hyperbolic, right? You need these institutions
He
in
loves
place
his mulatto nephew.
for stability. Well, I'm not talking about like anti-race mixing or anything. Just specifically, we can't go on without white women procreating, which is where we're at. We're very much so at there, right? You can measure it. Gen Z is a very small cohort. Gen Alpha is even smaller. We are shrinking by the fucking day. That's going to be an issue.
Well, if I know no one wants to jump in, I think the larger point is that, Mike, you tried to get married to a woman who's much older than you, and she rejected you. But you're telling, 20-year-old guys, they can find a nice Stacy, a nice Becky, a suitable woman to marry and have children with. When you fail, Bucko.
I don't think he's even saying a Becky or Stacy. But sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Mike. I just want to remind Thomas. Remember, I told this story on your channel the other day that my buddy tried to marry a fat single mom that's also poor. He has a good job. He has a vehicle. He wants to commit to her. He wants to move in with her, and she just said "fuck off." I mean, this is not a Becky or Stacy. I saw her pictures. It's so much worse than people seem to be willing to admit, and I'm not sure why.
So, Claire, what do you think?
Well,
Why do you
I
always
the
have to
chat
defer to Claire? Why can't you give your own opinion?
The
I
chat
think
is saying
Mike is
Claire is eating
probably
this up.
overwhelmed by the bitterness that you have shown, and possibly you realize it wouldn't be found to be attractive by women. You know, the bitterness.
The
and
bitterness
anger.
I've shown?
No, the others.
Raymond Maxing, Thomas. We're bitter, incel, misogynistic. And you know what's funny about that? I actually have a girlfriend, and so does Thomas. And we are very open about who we are to these women. They don't give a flying fuck about who you are or what you believe. They only care about what you look like. If a woman's attracted to you physically, she doesn't give a tiny rat's cold shit about your beliefs. They do not have their own ideologies. They do not have their own convictions. Donovan Sharp, one of the most intelligent things he said to his fans is that women will bend to your will, your ideologies, and your beliefs if they're attracted to you and love you. And that is very true.
Maybe that's my greatest problem. I do not look well. You can look at me.
And I hear you, man. You know, and I totally understand that. But I was more
sad, fat, and pathetic bald man. So
I thought you were the winner, though. I thought you had all the condos. So what's going on?
Well, no, I'll have the condos when the old people die.
And
that's
so
just money.
Now
That's got nothing to do with looks. That doesn't make any sense.
You're hedging though on this whole system staying up, and I know it sounds like doomer porn to you, but think about you talked about the 70s, right? I am only 38 years old. Okay, I remember 15 years ago, my parents bought a house in a nice part of town for $200,000. The mortgage on that was what, $1,200, $1,300. You can't get a shitty apartment here. A 1-bedroom apartment in a crappy part of town is $1,500 a month.
It's gonna smell like curry.
This is dangerous. Like we're paying more for a crap shack to die in than a fucking full-blown nice house in a white part of town. Not just white, but a really nice, safe part of town.
Nice and safe part of town means white, Bucko.
Yeah, well, I was just saying whatever. No crime. You know what I mean? Like there was no crime, no fucking police sirens. Very, very low key. 15 short years ago. What the hell happened? That's beyond hyperinflation, in my opinion. I mean, where do we go if that keeps going? What happens next?
Sure. Well, my parents have just moved out of their house that I was raised in 1960. They bought it in 1968 for $18,000.
Exactly. My grandmother's the same. My grandmother bought her
worth-
house for like 50. It's $1 million house now.
Yeah, it's worth $500,000 now. They moved in the old folks' home. It's a $250,000 buy-in, and
You're
Yeah, I
getting
heard you.
your skull bounced off the bed frame by a Somalian right now.
Don't
while
you
they
think that
collect
that's
check?
that's generational wealth being literally torpedoed? That's an insane amount of money, you know? Because that's happening here too in Canada. It's a big problem. Like all the old folks are having their houses sold, all their assets not repoed but taken away by their kids or family, and they're being thrown in these fucking places that seem like they're nice, but they're actually, yeah, like there's only non-white people that hate you working there. They don't give them good food. They let them rot in their piss and shit. They don't help them if they fall down. It's truly evil, man. I'm telling you. And that's the $6,000 one.
It's
Just
quite
work your whole
bizarre.
life
I'm,
so you
I'm
can
looking at the
die in a
chat,
bed
and someone
when you're
says,
60
"Mike,
years
do you
old."
regret being pro-immigration all your life?" I don't know why they think I'm pro-immigration. Has the current situation changed your mind at all? No, I was never pro illegal immigration. I'm all for legal immigration.
Well, why are you pro legal immigration?
What's
I'm
the
just
difference?
I'm always
What is
curious
the
about that.
difference?
Why are you pro legal immigration?
Right.
Because
Well,
none of the other countries are, right? Only us white cock countries do that. No other country.
By the way, legal
Okay.
immigration,
I'll explain it to you if
Hold
you
up,
let me talk.
real quick. By the way, legal immigration is literally the size of a large city every year being introduced in America who are people unlike ourselves. That's insanity, bro. Having
It put-
half a
It
million
puts such a
people-
strain. It puts such a strain on social services. It's actually insane how much it's bending and breaking the fucking the bottom of the barrel, if you will.
Okay. Claire, can I tell you what pro legal immigration is?
Please do.
Okay. So it's when you need a certain amount of labor, like I'm
Labor
from
is
Florida.
worthless.
Oh no.
Labor is worthless. You work all day and you can't even
Holy
afford an
shit.
apartment. Why
This
we need
fucking
more
Well,
labor?
labor
is
is
let
valuable.
Mike finish his point, please.
Okay.
I mean, you're
So
dogpiling him.
when you need an amount of labor to come in to pick the fruit or whatever, that's legal
A
immigration.
robot picks the fruit, you dumbass.
Okay, I just have a question for you. Why can't the
Okay.
people
In the 30s, we didn't have robots, you dumb fuck.
Well, that's 80 years ago.
Why can't the
Okay.
people
Well, there you go.
why can't the people here already that are living here, why can't they do these jobs that are you said that we need these people
They
for?
absolutely can. This is why you eliminate welfare.
Whoa,
There should be no welfare.
okay, so you're pro immigration but also anti welfare?
No, I'm pro immigration to fill the holes of the welfare people who cannot pick it.
But
But
wait, that's
The first thing you start with is eliminate all welfare. Do we all agree on that?
No, it's fascinating that you think that people here would agree with that. Like, again, this is a very outdated mindset, right?
Okay. So
You
you don't
can't-
agree with eliminating welfare.
Here's the problem: you can't hyperinflate the world to the degree you have, and then also
So you don't agree with eliminating welfare.
no.
Okay.
You want to know why?
we should introduce
Go ahead.
UBI at this point. I mean, we need
Go
more
for
than
it.
welfare.
Yeah, the problem is
Explain
that,
why you want welfare to be a thing.
well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the money that they funnel to Israel, Ukraine, whatever these breadbasket fucking
Fuck Israel. Fuck Ukraine.
but
Eliminate welfare.
they're funneling far more money into these programs than you could even imagine. It's a drop in the bucket compared to welfare.
What's that got to do with local welfare?
Well, you're attacking welfare before the larger.
You
money.
seem to
The larger expense is the foreign aid. Like
You
it's
I
seem to
don't
think-
give a eliminate all foreign aid. We'll
okay,
do it
well, they're
all.
not going to do it. They're not going to do that because that's
Okay,
that's
So
what we've been
you
taking
don't
over.
want to eliminate welfare because you don't want to eliminate foreign aid because why?
No, they've created the system on purpose. It's
I don't
not.
give a fuck who they are or the Zionists or the
No, our
cabal,
government,
blah, blah,
whoever you
blah.
want to call them, our government, just
Should we
specifically the
eliminate
people in
all
power.
foreign aid?
Well, you that's very idealistic of you. It's not
funny,
worth
I will
having this
say yes.
conversation.
It's funny
You
though.
say no.
Let me jump in though. Like really,
You
like
are wrong.
we go after like Social Security and welfare before we even discuss the larger, money being exhausted.
Okay, so
That's
should we
the issue.
eliminate all foreign aid?
Yeah, of course.
Holy shit! You were just saying no a minute
No,
ago.
I said no to welfare. I didn't say it before. My foreign aid was I was making a
Okay,
different point.
okay.
But yes,
Should
yes.
we eliminate all welfare?
No,
Okay, I think you're wrong. Eliminate all welfare. Eliminate all foreign aid.
for what purpose?
To save money, to make people go to work.
That was my point right there. You see, the money that they're stealing from us it far outpaces the welfare by again. You see what you're falling into is the trap of what we have here in Canada. Raise minimum wage. That'll take care of the problem. What happens? They raise everything else beside it. Simultaneously, they tax you more money. So every time they raise it, you lose more money. You see, it's all a trap. There's no, you can't live like this anymore. You see, they don't even want to give white people jobs. Also, they don't really want to give white people the welfare. So there's no incentive here for me to be like, get rid of this and get rid of that. They're not helping me one way or another, which was kind of, our point when I jumped in with Thomas.
What happened to Mike? Did he quit? Did Mike quit out on us?
I guess he did.
I mean,
That was a bit sudden.
By the way, I just want to make this clear. This is not a personal attack on Mike. Like I'm not.
No, that's why I didn't attack his looks or anything because I was just trying to have a.
Well, he's not even like he's just a normal dude like who's in his 50s probably. Like I'm not even. It's not about him. It's like the larger point of it all. That like, oh, we need to get rid of welfare, but like everyone wants to go after welfare and Social Security and all these like safety nets for American people or Canadian people or whatever Western people, but we're not. It's like, and I'm glad, Scotty. I'm glad you recognize this. I mean, most people have by now, if you're young, that this is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
Like
it's punching down. That's the problem, right? It's punching down. Like, oh, get rid of it for the Shaniquas and the single mother. It's like, yeah, but like, it really is such an irrelevant point. We need some sort of prosperity, some sort of stability, something to strive for, something to aspire for, and we have nothing. And then they're trying to take away the last bit of breadcrumbs that we have, while this dude wants to collect fucking condos in Florida.
Oh, and I'm for safety nets, by the way, Mr. Black Pill backshots. But the problem is the safety nets don't go to like actual, like regular working Americans who maybe got injured or sick, and now they have to sell off their fucking used car and their property that they barely paid. They haven't even paid off yet, so they can live with a stinky fucking apartment with a bunch of Indians or whatever. Some Section 8 housing. Like you can't have a dime to your name and collect these social benefits as a
I was just gonna say that too, Thomas. That's what people don't seem to understand the system. You're punished for improving, right? That they cut you off for doing well. It's not the other way around, right? So
exactly.
Mike has this idea that people are on welfare because they don't want to work, but that's not really a large contingent of people, right? It's a very outdated mindset, and it presupposes that things are affordable. And it's like, I don't think you got my point that, again, my parents bought a house for the same price that people are paying for a 1-bedroom apartment now. It's not good. This is not like some fairy tale that we're spinning here. It's not like, people have been saying this my whole life. It's like, yeah, but now it's happening right in front of our face. By the
way, Scotty Boom, I see it happen firsthand where there's
me too.
There's resentment towards these lower like labor jobs where they get paid quote too much. It's like, well, you got paid so and so and you could buy cigarettes and beer and take a girl to a movie, and now you can't do that with your little minimum wage in the current year. So to compare the two is sort of like just ridiculous. It's like outrageously ridiculous.
Again, they always have half the picture, because it's like, okay, minimum wage is this much. Okay, you can get that job. Can you get that job for 25 hours? Can you get that job for 37 hours a week? Because they don't hire full-time employees anymore, right? They rather hire 2 part-time employees, so they don't have to pay them any incentives, any benefits. right? Any vacation time, whatever, all that shit. They rather hire 2 half-time employees and then give them nothing. You can't live in a lot of these cities on the hours that they're giving you, no matter the price that the salary, not salary, but the hourly wages. And that's the issue. Him saying there's entry-level jobs is just simply untrue. I don't know where he got the idea that there's entry-level jobs has become obsolete. They don't fucking have them anymore. If you don't believe me, anyone in the chat, go try to apply for a job on Indeed. Go ahead, have fun with that. You're gonna find out real fast.
And by the way, I want to just get this on record, like since we're on the stream or whatever. Like, I don't want to be too harsh. Well, maybe the chat will get mad with me, but like Mike was a good, he took the punches. Like, he was here, he had his camera on, he wanted to talk through these issues, and I just don't think he heard. He's not hearing what I'm saying or what the chat's saying, and it's not like I'm not I'm not angry with him. Actually, I commend him for doing it, but to come on and to endure the criticism or the pushback, and I'm glad he did it. But people just don't understand what young men are facing in the West, and that's my fucking argument, or my main kind of issue with this whole thing. Like, you don't consider what young men are put through, and sure, like some of the the luxuries that we young people get to have that my boomer or my granddad was in the army and maybe struggled in different ways that we are struggling, but they don't have a care or a thought or a feeling about what they face. And that's like that's why I do YouTube nowadays. It's like to see and hear and to feel what young people are facing. You can't understand it. Oh, you've got Teslas and you got all this high tech and all this innovation. Like, you're spoiled, bucko. Like, no. Honestly, people in the dissident right have talked about how slavery would be preferable. Free housing, free food, a family, children. You don't get any of that. I mean, literally, slaves in America have it better than young men in America. Like, oh, you got your little tech, your little flat panel touchscreen, and you can doom scroll and watch porn that's like, in 4K, like some blonde hot woman who's getting all her orifices, every fucking penetration in every orifice. Like, why didn't we? It's like they're jealous of our life. It's like it's a weird dynamic where old boomer fucks think we have it good and better, but it's literally all inverted. It's literally the opposite. It's bullshit. And I'm just sick of the fact that nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to be honest with themselves. Oh, you can get married, bucko. I tried. I tried. She was 16 years older than me and she denied me. But you 20-year-olds, you can get a Stacy or a Becky or a looks match or a woman that's suitable for marriage. It's not that hard. Like, figure it out. Like, fucking, what are we doing?
That just shocked me. When I got to ask that line of questioning, I was kind of surprised how quickly I was like, wait a minute, don't you see the problem? Why are you talking about all this stuff? And then your own life is a contradiction. I don't this. It's a representation of all the problems that he's defending, right? Just get a job, just get a house, just get a woman. It's like these things are all unattainable. You yourself should be able to see that. Why are you fighting? That's why I asked him. He was a Fed. I'm like, why are you fighting?
Here's the thing, Scotty Boom. Like, it is obtainable for a certain amount of like the Western man. I'd listened to Langan. Remember Langan, the high IQ guy or whatever? You guys know who Chris Langan is?
No, I'm not familiar.
He's like 200 IQ white guy who bounced at a bar and never had children. And you never heard of Chris Langan?
No, I can't say that I have.
Well, he applied for the civil services in like the East Coast area and probably the New York area. One of the highest IQ men in America. He's literally got like 180 IQ, and he's a pretty upright white man in America, and he was unable to procreate and have children. and he couldn't get a job in the civil services. He aced all the tests, but you got to know somebody. And that's why I really want to make this clear with everyone in the audience that white people are at a certain level going to be fine. Like there's white people that are doing just fine in the West and in America, but there's so many I would say half. Me and Western Decline have argued about this or talked about this, that half of white men won't have access to this stuff. And Chris Langen's one of them. He's literally the highest IQ white man in America, and he couldn't get a civil service job. He couldn't have a family because he didn't know anybody. You know, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, he's got a nice life because he's son of the president. Like there's lots of these people, like, you know, just
like Trump's son, 6'7".
Yes,
he's super tall.
He's going to have children, probably have a nice life. And like, that's fine. Like there is going to be a lot of white people that are going to do just fine. But the fact that like, we're going to just like cut the white race in half, and all you white people, you either be incel or be a race mixer or marry a fat girl, like, and also be okay with living in poverty. That arrangement's sort of ridiculous and outrageous. And it needs to be sort of highlighted that,
again, even the fat girl thing, Thomas, I'll tell you, you like stories. I have a little story for you about my brother, you know, him and his wife, because, you know, listen, they're hardy people, you know, that's me being polite to my brother and my sister-in-law, not thin people. But when they first started dating, my brother was in the radio broadcast program. So it's a good program. And her mom was mad he didn't have a job, and they almost didn't end up getting in a relationship because he didn't have a job, even though he was in a program to get a job. So even she was putting him on the chopping block. It's like even the lowest of the low and the attraction scale ones are being very difficult, very feminist, very over asking, over demanding of you, you know, to be the very best you can be. So as it were.
Yeah, and it really, like, sure, there's a lot of white guys that are going to do like reasonable, like people would say that, but I would even argue against that because like they might get divorced. They got like a feminist girlfriend, wife, or whatever who, you know, really just resents their husband. And like, it's not like really, I think that's why a lot of young people, they see like, wait, like I got to do what, like my brother, for example, like, is that really like appealing where you marry the fat girl? Like my brother got some pretty young tail. I mean, some nice Beckies in his young years. And he was able to like, oh, you know, he got a little older. He had all these kind of relationships or hookups over the years. And now he settled for like a fat girl and had one kid. And like, he's, you know, maybe an anomaly. Like a lot of young guys, they're not even going to get that. They're not going to get a taste. I mean, my brother, who's like nothing impressive. He's just an average white guy living in the Midwest who got to fuck a lot of girls his age that were, you know, kind of pretty and youthful or whatever. And you don't even get to talk to these women as a 20-year-old man, a 22-year-old man. Like you're room rotting. You're playing fucking video games. Like you're not getting anything. And to not fucking highlight any of this, like that's kind of fucked. Like to not have a care about this and just, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, like just marry a woman who's 16 years older than you and you know, the twilight of your years. And it's like, it was kind of cringe, Scotty, right? Like,
I was like, oh, bro, like this is like some blue pilled shit right here, man. I don't know, like that's a lot older than you too. That's a lot older, you know. It's not a little bit older. You know, a lot of the guys, they don't even have experience with women. That's a common comment I get.
They don't even have friends, bro. Like,
no,
you know this. Like, we know this. Like,
yeah,
young men don't even have like guys to hang out with and like and create mischief with anymore. Like, you're just fucking by yourself, and it's fucked up that you don't have any. You don't even get to like, you know, get involved in like some mischief and like screw around with your buddies. Like that's literally how deprived young men are. You don't get like a social group even, much less a woman to fucking have sex with.
They miss their formative years, right? So these guys that are like 21, they're trying to do things that I did when I was like 15, 16. Like they're they missed the boat, right? So that's why I tell them, man, if you miss that first boat, Western talks about that a lot too, right? If you miss that high school boat, you might be behind forever, because the women, they don't really let you in the club if you weren't, pre-selected, if you weren't picked at that, ripe age. So it's a snowball effect, and it's coming down the mountain.
Even claviculars, like getting like sorority girls like fucking pushing back and like making fun of them and trolling them on like the fucking live streams. Have you seen that, Scotty Boom? Like a hot shot like internet dude who's got like $1 million in the bank. He can't even fucking figure it out. Like he he might be doing better than a lot of young guys, but even he's not like winning. He doesn't have like a plethora of like Stacy's to fuck every night. Like he's just doing what he's capitulating and going trying to follow this system, and it ain't working for him. I don't think it is. I mean, maybe $1 million and a little bit of attention, but he's still not like batting women off with a stick or anything.
Women are in an impossible position now, right? They've really become the men they want to fucking date. They're trying to be these like hyper chads. They're trying to be this. Why can't I sleep around and have fun and never have a care in the world? And they don't take kindly to pushback. They don't like these conversations we have. Even to this day, nothing's changed in that regard, right? All the guys that have these conversations get swatted down, get shamed. Yeah, the odd girl will approve of you, but like the hive mind as a whole, it's very insulated. And it's, again, I'm on a week-long ban for calling a girl a bitch on my last video.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're banned?
Yeah, I've been on a ban for 5 days because my video got striked for hate speech. Just because I called her a bitch for being a Chad chasing cunt,
Wow.
I was like, come on, guys. Holy. Yeah, the gynocentric matriarchy is very self-destructive, you see? I mean, women have become these hyper feminists, and they're very argumentative. They're very combative, and like I said, they're gold medal champions at fucking up their lives and everyone's lives around them if they're left unchallenged like this. And that's where we find ourselves. That's why even guys like Chad Light, Clavicular, or whatever, he can't just bulldoze his way over these women because they have all the power and they know it. Oh, we lost Mike again.
Fuck. Mike was back. I wanted to talk with him a little more. Hang out with us a little longer.
It's just that he has some connectivity issues. I think the problem here is like,
I just want to instill this in Mike. I hope he's listening, but like he has nephews, and Scotty Boom, do you think he should black pill his nephews or try to what should be the approach with a guy like Mike who might have nephews that maybe he has a little like extra funds to help their life or sort of like give them a step up in life, like to maybe networking or a job, or to be able to like help fund like to be like a support group to young nephews and young people. What do you think? Do you believe he should black pill his nephews, or he should have their back? Like how would you approach that as a guy like Mike who is on the panel today?
Well, there's a all MGTOW, black pill, and red pill share. It's that we don't recruit, guys find us, right? So the problem is that there's no way around it. Again, I always bring up our favorite, example in Raymond. Having a little bit of money isn't buying women's affection anymore. Those days are long over. This idea that you're going to be a protector and provisioner of women, it's completely outdated.
Scotty, I really tried to instill that on the stream. Like women have all the jobs now. They're
outpacing us. They not only it's the OnlyFans. Sorry, yeah, Thomas, go ahead.
Well, they're out earning men. Period.
Yeah,
period. I'm not talking about sexualization or monetizing their youth. I'm talking about jobs
in all aspects. My sister-in-law is a teacher. They don't hire men to be teachers anymore. So the entire academia, it's all women, right? My mom would get mad when the paramedics would come to see my stepdad. All women. Not all, but most of the time women, right? Women are they're given all the fast food jobs. I see the hot girls still in the fast food jobs. All women.
Scotty, I had a plumbing issue about 6 months ago, and I had to go to like a local home improvement store, and I was trying to find some help because I didn't know what exact part I needed. I'm not I'm not a plumber, but I needed a little help. And I go to the fucking desk, the clerk or the service desk, and it's literally two women who just got hired who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm literally in an aisle with some contractor dude who's literally like giving me all all the information I need. He didn't even work there. But women get the jobs, man. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be Menards or Home Depot. They are hired before the regular dude who might actually have a fucking point you, who might be able to point you in the right direction, but he ain't getting the job. It's literally some like trainee woman who's overweight, and I don't even want to fuck.
I know a girl from my youth, very pretty girl, right? I tried to date her once or whatever, but I've known her since we were like 16 years old. She was given a job at the Supreme Court of Canada just because she's really hot. Like, she's a very ditzy, very silly French girl. She's not very smart or whatever, but she's very pretty. They gave her like a $70,000 job because she looks amazing in a skirt. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, that this is very real. They're giving them the jobs from the bottom to the top. Call centers, there's no job that you will get over a pretty girl. If she walks in and she applies, if they see her picture, you can guarantee that she's getting hired. Guys want to be around them. Even if they don't want to have sex with them, they want to smell them. They want to see them. They want to be in their presence. It very much so is a real thing. So it's not just the OF thing, right?
No, it's not. It's literally all kind of aspects of life. Like, that's what's so annoying to me with like the workplace, because men prefer women as like someone to work with because of access to their vagina. Not that they're going to get a taste, but I don't want to be around women when I'm doing a real job. But other men, blue-pilled men, normie men, they love the woman hirees, the women getting hired, because now they might get they think they might get a taste. That's literally how it goes now. And I'm like, dude, I just want to make my money and work with guys I can kind of banter with. And now I got to worry about a sexual harassment case or like an HR fucking meeting because of this situation. So I don't see this as beneficial. And average men, they want to lie to themselves because they might get access. It's a propinquity, it's proximity. Men are just enamored by the idea of women being in these spaces just to get a taste, and they're not gonna get anything like that. I mean, maybe because of propinquity or proximity or whatever, but honestly, they're not gonna get anything. Like, it's just fucking like eye candy, and it ruins the workplace. It ruins productivity. It ruins camaraderie and banter with men. And most men are their own. I say it all the time with the white race, with men, they're their own worst enemy. I mean, this is just, it's not going to go anywhere.
At least there used to be balance, with the workplace. There's less and less men in the workplace now that these women are working at. It's just that's really what I see. There used to be large rosters, but everything's been downsized. Everything's been turned to remote or just gone.
Claire, I would say all people need a safe place, a safe space. Women want to be, they want to hang out in their spas and gossip. They don't want some like kind of weird dude who is like a girl guy thing going on. Like, everyone, all groups of people in the sexes need a safe space. It's not uniquely for like, oh, white people are victims, so therefore they need their own little safe space. Like, no, all people do, all genders.
Well, they don't even get it for their toilets these days, right? It's gone so the other way.
Is that Black Pigeon Speaks in the chat?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to talk with him. He's a smart guy. I think he spent a lot of time in Japan. He did a really good YouTube channel. He was sort of adjacent to the dissident right. Good guy. I actually really liked his content. I should probably resub. I haven't been following him.
I was on his channel this year.
I don't know where to find him. Maybe you'll have to send me a link to his channel or something, but I haven't followed him in a few years now. But Black Pigeon Speaks is a great YouTuber. Man, what a big dog. But I think he's a race mixer though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're one race and you're in love with somebody of another race, you don't really see how odd it is. You kind of have to ask a third party whether you're an odd couple. But I guess you can't see it yourself. And I guess most people don't have the option of saying, "I want the one in white, in medium." People can only marry whoever they're prepared to marry and whoever is prepared to marry them. So, and most people don't get much of a choice.
What do you think about like my kind of ranting tonight so far? What are your thoughts, Claire? Do you have anything you want to maybe?
Well, I think it's great that you.
Well, do you want to maybe maybe get at me for anything I've said tonight? Am I off? Am I way off? Too dark, and too kind of downtrodden? Is there anything you want to like?
I think you're just doing your usual thing. I'm glad you could bring everyone here to maybe kind of talk to Mike. I don't think the older generation know, and I guess you gave it to him without any restraint, and maybe they need to hear it in that way, because I guess you won't be saying it in those terms to your fathers, right? And maybe they need to have it given to them, good and hard, right between the eyes. And of course, a lot of millennials and Zoomers are scared of doing that because there might be inheritance issues, and we don't want people to fall out. But these things are very difficult to discuss directly without people getting angry, resentful, make accusations, and I think this is really what religion is for. This idea that we must respect our elders even though we don't think that they deserve the respect, and also correspondingly
But good young men
the
of the
older
West.
generation have a duty to hand over society to the next generation, and
Let me just get this out here. Like, I understand whenever I'm around people that are older than me, there is a certain level of respect you give them. But can you see why people that are in their 20s, young men in the West, saying, "Hey, wait, like they sold us down the river. Why should young people," and I'm talking about young people of their own race and ethnic group or nationality, being sort of a little being a little more flippant and angry and resentful towards their elders. Does that not make sense, Claire, at all?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I think what happens is that when we have memories of our childhood and our youth, they become in a way sacred to us because it's our lived experience, and probably we don't want anyone else, even the younger generation that we may care about, telling us that what we thought was the golden age when we were young and sexy, that it was all wrong, it was all degenerate, the sex and drugs and rock and roll, the Beatles and Rolling Stones, and that kind of stuff. It's certainly wrong and wicked and degenerate, and I guess if you can ignore it and pretend you don't understand, you would. I mean, I noticed it when I was talking to a bunch of older people who regarded remaining in the EU as kind of totemic of being a good liberal. And even though they themselves complained about immigration and how much things had turned badly for themselves, until I said, "Oh, so you're going to be voting to leave the EU, will you?" To my surprise, I was talking to this liberal neighbor of mine, and she said, "No, no, of course not. I couldn't possibly. It would be an admission of defeat, or because of course for her, her religion and her sacred beliefs would be liberalism. So a lot of things have become religious beliefs even without us acknowledging and not acknowledging them as such. And yeah, and of course, every generation will have a different experience of life, and they don't even learn history, the history of their own country, in the same way. So they'd have a totally different view. And of course, our government is always trying to calibrate our beliefs in order to, form our opinions, to make us behave in a certain way, usually for very short-term gain. And certainly with the British, they do make fake religions for them to believe in. I mean, I've been trying to tell white people that Christianity was a fake religion that you were forced to believe in since the 4th century. It's not just being lied to in this, in the proximate generations that you might know. I mean, it goes back all the way. And I guess it's a hard pill to swallow.
Does that,
because of course these things are sacred.
So white people should abandon Christianity and be more feral? Is that like what you're trying to say?
No. Okay, I'm trying to say that all the religions you've heard of, the 5 world religions, the 3 Abrahamic religions, the 2 Eastern religions of Hinduism and Buddhism, to a larger or lesser degree, they support marriage and family values. It's only the West, because it became a victim of its own success. It was global hegemon. Nobody thought that anybody would, try or dare to invade them, being the world's #1 superpower. So they thought they could, afford to lower standards of sexual behavior and enjoy a culture of sex and drugs and rock and roll, and yes, and the culture of casual sex and dating apps. It's a behavioral addiction, and I think what causes this neurotic suspension in men is, well, if I say anything, well, it won't work. Nobody will listen. But if I don't say anything, I will feel, eternally bitter, having to bite my lip and, pretend to believe in all kinds of things you don't believe in, which is, well, terrible for mental health, I would have thought. So, I guess, we do have to have a think about, well, patriarchy. I mean, just to try to make it simple, I say we live in a degenerate matriarchy, and therefore the solution is to restore the patriarchy. And patriarchy is a society that prioritizes the preferences of married fathers. And many of you don't want to be married fathers, so you're kind of in this catch-21. Is it 22? Yeah, 22 situation.
No, I disagree. I think that men do want to get married, and I think that men do want a woman in their lives, but we can't check women's behavior.
So you need to say, we want to change the rules, and no fault divorce is bad for marriage because it actually encourages women to be gold diggers. But sadly, the government, certainly in the UK, marriage was a bad deal for men anyway, but now they're saying, let's have no fault divorce. So you don't even have to give a proper reason when you want to divorce your spouse. So the only people who really want to get married these days would be gay people, to whom marriage is a novelty and something, to play with, a piece of paper to play with, and maybe get a few tax advantages and relief from inheritance tax, which starts at 40% in the UK. So, as I've been trying to explain, it's a political system.
You're talking to us like we're like, if you're a 22-year-old Western man, Claire Kaw, like, they have no power.
I know.
They have no leg to stand on.
I have no power either.
Opposition, as an opposition, like, so what are young people to do when they have no upward mobility? They can't get a job in the Fortune 500 or in the civil services unless they know somebody. A lot of the Western men, they have nowhere to turn to, and boomers want to just say, work harder, and it's like, well, that doesn't cut the mustard, bucko. Like, how is this? How you can, preach all day long, but young Western people don't have power. They don't have influence. They have no way to direct or steer the way society is going. So
Yes, I know. I don't have power either, but the only thing that you can do to get to power is to say you want it and find a leader whom you can trust to get you there. But if you don't even tell the government that they're going wrong and they're wrong because of whatever, and the way, and it is a different direction, if you don't talk to them right, of course they're going to ignore you, because they'll think, oh, these are just left behind, they can't keep up. Oh, but we've got these immigrants to replace them, because these ones don't want to work, they don't want to marry, and well, what do we what can we do with them other than to leave them behind? And that's why the generations need to work together to get the message through to the government. But I suppose, it's a shameful thing to admit. So nobody actually wants to admit, oh, I'm an incel, I can't get a job, no woman will marry me. Instead, they claim that they don't want to marry.
Do you know
But
that the stats actually say that men do want to be married? That's even recent polling. Men
Well,
want to be
that's
married.
good. So you have to say and do things that make women want to marry you.
Well, women don't want to be, though. See, the thing is, they don't want to get married young. They don't want to give up their freedom, their independence. When they're young and thin and pretty and all that stuff, they live a great, exciting, fun, vibrant life, and they don't want to give that up to be mothers and wives. That's been very made clear with the metrics.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying feminism hurts women too. So they
don't think so.
waste the best decade of their lives in their 20s, where they could be looking for a husband, and find the best one, possible. That would be in their 20s, and then when they realize they want to be mothers more than anything else in the world, that they know they can't. So they are also angry, bitter, and disappointed, and they blame you guys.
But you'll notice that message is not being passed down. What you just said there, you don't see that anywhere on social media. We'll say like older women, #older women, passing that wisdom or that knowledge down to younger women. That's not being spread at all. See, this is not men that can change this outcome. It's women that need to change. They're the ones that have, dug their heels in and created this mess.
Well, somebody needs to say something. I mean, I've been trying to do it, but obviously the whole point of religion is to frighten men and women into marrying each other. That's true for all the religions. It's just that the Abrahamic religions are a bit stricter on monogamy. But that was really the purpose of religion. And obviously the non-whites, they come from a culture where marriage is expected, and they think it's a step up if somebody wants to marry them. They're not fussy. It's somebody wants to marry them, and then they can have children and blah blah.
Would it shock you to know that even those other countries are also having the same issues that we are with the population, with marriage rates? Those brown countries, they have the same problem.
Japan has an average age of 40.
Japan has
no, sorry,
citizen
it's nearly 50. Sorry,
it's getting to be senior citizen. Yeah, there's a guy that's a famous YouTuber. He's coming back to the States because he says it's becoming really bad there.
Yeah, and China fucked themselves up with their one-child policy. So it's happening all across the industrial countries, and I don't think they know what to do. Really, because they think they're too modern to, believe in, all this God stuff. But I think really God had to be conjured up in order to frighten
I'm sorry,
people
Claire.
into marriage.
I'm really annoyed. Claire, I'm just annoyed with the fact that no one wants to check women.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Elon Musk is out there talking about birth rates, and that's fine. That's great. Whatever. But he's out there plowing through dozens of women, half a dozen women, having children with all these women. And well, how is it that other men are going to procreate and have families and community when you have hotshots in the White House? Oh, the conservative Republican Party, they're so wonderful. They're making all these great changes. And then you look into it. You got fucking RFK, a philanderer, fucking the Secretary of Defense, Donald Trump, divorced 3 times. The fucking White House is a complete mess when it comes to like addressing real issues that are going to affect change in America. When the whole entire administration is full of philanderers, men that are fucking taking way more than they should be allowed to. When you have, guys that are fucking plowing through 40, 50, 100 women, and then, oh yeah, like, we're gonna increase the birth rate when Elon Musk is taking more than his fair share. Who else is in the administration? They're all literal philanderers. They're not married. They've got multiple divorces, and we're supposed to support and vote for these people? Fuck that. Fuck the Republican Party. Fuck the right wing.
Look at JD Vance. What a clown he is.
But monogamy, I guess, was what produced the stability and the organizing ability of the West. Because, well, Christianity was so strict about monogamy that Henry VIII had to escape from it by becoming his own pope and divorcing his wives. But anyway, this is it. I mean, monogamy is obviously the solution. Even the Quran says, we will tolerate polygamy of up to 4 wives, but monogamy is still the ideal. It's a kind of sexual communism. Every boy should be able to find a girl, and no female infanticide, which sadly the Chinese practiced.
China actually figured out their problem, and you know what their problem was? Well, what they banned recently, China banned what is it? China banned Lifetime movies or that type of stuff, making the perfect $100,000 6-foot-tall bachelor, because that's what all the women are demanding in China. It's not a one-child policy. It's all the women are rejecting all the men that are available, just like here. And they're banning that.
They talk of left behind women. Left on the shelf women.
Let me interrupt. Like, Black Pigeon Speaks is in the back room. He wants to get in on this. Where is he?
Well, I hope he will speak now. Hello, Felix. You going to talk to us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Well, I've been sitting here for a while, and I'm about ready to go anyway because I've got other things to do. But I thought I would just come in. But the conversation has gone much further than when I was listening to it in the original bit. So I'll just listen for a while and interject where I deem necessary.
No, I'm a fan of you, Bucko. Like, you're a good YouTuber.
Oh, thanks.
You've been listening to the stream, I imagine, for a little while. If you want to backpedal or get back
to no, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I know I've known Claire for years. I've actually Claire was I've met Claire many times in London. I think the last time I saw you was at November last month, Claire, when you were hitting on me at that house party.
Well, Felix, Black Pigeon, I just want you to maybe point out anything I've said that it was retarded or off the mark. Or
well, no, I don't think anything you're saying is retarded or off the mark. I think that what you're expressing is righteous indignation of the sort of situations that have been created via a world that was put forth before you were even born. I think the problem is being able to identify what it is, where it comes from, and how it's gotten to this just shit show clown world that we're living in right now. And excuse me, guys, if I cough a bit or sneeze. I've got a bit of a cold. I just got off an airplane a couple days ago, and I went from a tropical climate to back into winter, so it's I haven't been doing too well.
Well, can I jump in real quick just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I think that you're an example, in my opinion, of the dissident space trying to fight back or push back and have ideas or thoughts and opinions, and being discriminated against and being demonetized or being deplatformed. I'm sure you faced some of that, and
all of it.
Exactly. So I imagine some of what I've said tonight rings true, and that you can agree with a lot of this, because you can't even operate as a polished content creator on a YouTube platform. Like you're not being monetized. You're being taken from the algorithm and
Yeah.
being sort of put into a dark space. And
Mhm.
I just think that's what's going on. Like even if you try, you can't even get it. You can't gain any ground because you can't build an audience when you're not allowed to operate.
Well, that's exactly true. I think that I myself got in on the sort of last window where people with dissident ideas were allowed to be able to be creators, and that would be 2017, 2018, 2019, especially before the Trump election in 2020, or sorry, 26, just after the Trump election, excuse me. And when Trump became president, the jaws of censorship, the jaws of what is acceptable speech, the jaws of all of these issues that you've been talking about have really come to be shut. And they're basically the United Kingdom is a better example of all of this. I mean, it's basically a totalitarian state at this point. I don't know. I mean, I visit, as Claire will tell you, I spend a lot of my time in London every year. And the more time I spend there, the more just flabbergasted I am at what people will tolerate. And I think even for myself, I thought that COVID-19, and I guess what I would say is that before COVID-19 hit, I had faith that most people were rational. I had faith that people, if given the ideas and the different positions on them, could make rational decisions and then put those or implement those. But what COVID-19 showed me, with 85%, in some cases even more in some countries, compliance with the experimental vaccine that they were forcing on everyone, I think the government, pretty much one of the things that they realized is that they can get away with almost anything at this point. And I think what you're also seeing, going back to what you're talking about, being a young white guy in a Western country, it's hard to look at the world that has been inherited vis-a-vis that which was bequeathed the boomers, for example. But what was bequeathed the boomers, especially in countries like the United States and Canada and Australia being the only three I can think of, where they were the only three that were untouched by the Second World War and kept their industrial base intact. So what you had was an unprecedented period of prosperity because all the other industrial centers of the world were in ruin, Japan, Europe. And it created a sort of, and then you had a baby boom. And with a baby boom, you have a population inertia that will be for consumption. There's an interesting economist. His name is Harry Dent, similar to the name of Harvey Dent, the Two-Face in the Batman series. But Harry Dent, and I read a book of his about 9 years ago, and he talked about generational economies, in that when you go from what should happen is most people should be, if you go back, 2 or 3 generations, not even 2 generations, most people got married in their mid to late 20s at the latest. Very few people went over their 30s getting married. But between those ages of your mid 20s to about your mid 50s, you've made all of your large purchases that you're going to make in your life. So you've bought your house or you've paid off your house. I mean, that's probably the largest expenditure people will have in their lives, is their mortgage and paying off their home. But then, you've got to buy your furniture, and you've got to buy all the things to fill that house. You've also then got to do all the other things in raising children, and then you've got to pay for their university. And by the time you're in your 50s, your purchases are going to, and your consumption levels are going to drop substantially. And that basically is a retardation of an economy that's built on endless consumption. And what we're seeing now is, I believe, a lot of this has to do with the end of the Soviet Union. There's an interesting hypothesis that, if you look throughout history, is that war and the value of a I don't want to call them citizen because, you know, in the Bronze Age and whatnot, people weren't citizens, depending on society you're in. I mean, I guess if you're talking about Greece, perhaps some of those city states were, but that the importance of a man was his ability to fight war. And in that, the overlord, the king, the chieftain, whomever, had to give somewhat, even not just lip service to those men he ruled, because in order for that person to want to have to fight, he had to have some skin in the game. So he couldn't just have a slave army, because these people wouldn't fight for him. And what you have now is the end of the Cold War, where in the West, you know, you had to have things like trade unions. You had to have things that kept the average working tax cattle under the assumption that his life was better in a Western economic system rather than the Soviet system. So when the USSR broke up, all of that was just, okay, that's it. We don't have to go to war with these guys anymore. Excuse me. So we don't even have to treat these people like humans anymore. They started offshoring all of the industry right after, right when it was Clinton that did all of this, all of these trade deals. So you offshore jobs that kept families employed and in housing and a decent sort of life. And then you financialized an entire economy. And then you put everything into basically a usuried system where everything is about debt and asset inflation. And if you don't have assets, you're going to basically fall through the cracks. Now, how that relates to women is with the internet. If you take a look at, like, as you were talking about previously while I was listening, about how women are totally off the hook right now, a lot of that has to do with the inflation. I made a video about this just a couple of days ago called Hoflation and Hypergamy may cure dysgenics, but will what was the other part? Will unscramble or will destroy civilization, somewhere along those lines. And the idea is that these women who have, in fact, no real reason to be thinking of themselves as tens. I mean, you'll see some of these women, they're just, you know, twos, but they still think that they want their Chad. They want their 6'5", six-packed, you know, 150K a month salary, and he drives a Corvette, but he's still.
I disagree a little bit in that they want everything.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm getting at that. And so these are conjoining into a system where everyone has to almost be in debt just to survive. And now women basically they've put themselves off the market for 95% of men. And one of the problems is that any society, the core bedrock of any civilization is a man, a woman, and a family, right? What we have right now is hypergamy in the extreme, where 20% of the men are getting 80% of the sex, and everybody else is fighting for the crumbs. So you've got, I guess this is where I think the whole MGTOW movement comes from, where men are just like, you know, fuck this, right? And I think this is another reason why they won't allow prostitution to become legalized in Western countries, other than places like Las Vegas or Amsterdam, or a few other places like you got in Vienna or other things, because that would just turn men off even more of even trying. Because society works if men have a stake in it. And having removed almost every stake men can have, you can't have a family, you can't own a home, you can't have a wife, and you're basically just scraping by to live in a basement suite or a studio apartment. I mean, what incentive do people have? I read an article just today. I think it's in the New York Times. I probably can find it. They were talking about how Gen Z is now more depressed with having a job rather than being unemployed, because the average Gen Z salary, and that's average, they're saying, is about $37,000 to $39,000, which probably makes the vast majority $30,000 or thereabouts per year. But a living wage in most of the United States, unless you're going into the real flyover territories,
$80K,
$87,000 for a living wage. You know, so you're not like scraping by on the barrel. So you what have you got? I mean, you've got almost all of the, I would say, the conditions that are ripe for some kind of either civilizational quagmire or just one that just it can't continue like this. And then at the same time, where they're saying, well, nobody's having kids. Well, people can't have kids because they can't afford them. They can't find the woman to have them. They can't buy the house to house them in. They say, okay, well, what we're going to do is have open borders and completely demographically transform your country in 20 years. So it's absolutely unrecognizable. I mean, you won't speak the same language with your neighbor, let alone have the same religious traditions, or even just common things, being able to talk about, talking about, I don't know, TV shows you remembered as a kid or movies, like no cultural similarity. So, I mean, what you're having is a complete breakdown. A very good example of that, I would say, is where Claire lives, London. And I don't think she'll lie and say that that's a very healthy place to be. So,
would you say that perpetual population growth is a must or needed? Because I just think that there's ebbs and flows in societal and populations. Like you can't ever have constant growth. So the idea that like we all need to procreate and have kids to keep the system running, like that seems like a trick, or like to me, it doesn't seem feasible or really realistic to just expect population to constantly grow. Like that's not even like necessarily even ideal, right? I mean, do you get what I'm saying?
100%. I know what you're saying. And I've thought about the exact same, and I would agree with you at 100%. Human civilizations have never been only in growth. I mean, whether you take a look at, the civilizations in the Far East, China, Japan, or you look at all the way back to ancient Rome, populations expanded and they contracted. Interestingly enough, a lot of times when populations contract is when things get better. So think about it this way. So you're living in a city, and let's say, I don't know, London in the 14th century, 15th century, 14th century. And the Black Plague runs through and half your population is gone in a year. Okay, that's horrible. Nobody wants to see their friends or their family die. Absolutely not. But we're not talking about the sort of micro. We're talking about the macro, in the sense that what happens then? Well, half of the houses come available. Half of the land comes available. Half of all of the goods that were previously created, all of the things people need, workshops, horseshoeing facilities, blacksmith things, they all become available because there's just less people. And interestingly enough, it was at the end of the Black Death in Europe was the creation of the Renaissance. And part of the reason is because the value of labor was worth a lot more than it was previously, and the feudal lords weren't able to keep control over their people anymore. And
see, that's the problem,
right?
Black Pigeon. Like men have no value. Like, can we just admit that? Like, we don't, like, men aren't needed anymore. Like, that's why women are hired in the West in all these positions of, whatever job it is. Like, the value of men is almost as low as it's ever been. And just to recognize that is like where I just want to, like, meet people in the middle or express, like, men have little to no value nowadays. And let's just, like, at least talk about that.
I would agree with you in one respect, disagree in another. The one respect I'd agree with you is that if we're going back to women and men, one of the things that you'll see insofar as the so-called Chad, Stacy, Becky, what have you, is that men, a large part or a large substance of their value is their ability to provide. Right. So what will happen is all of these women, they're going out and they have jobs, they have their own salaries, what have you, and a lot of times more because of DEI, and they're given makeup work and
subsidies.
Yeah, but they still expect a man to pay for dates and spoil them and pay for everything at the same time. Now the thing is by giving women all of these make jobs and giving them, all of these things, what you've done is you've denigrated one of the single most important things that men had in pair bond creation, and that was the status of provider, right? And that's what I think you're getting at, is that that men not having the same status or the same ability to provide for women is, I think, a large issue that men are facing today. And, you know, a lot of these women, they'll just say, well, I don't need a man. I don't, you know, I've got a dildo. Well, you know, that might work for a while, but this is where you're seeing the creation of all these cat ladies, right? So, I
Yeah,
would say.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the society, modern society, it's like men don't need women because they got porn and video games, and women have, you know, dildos, and, you know, women are acting more and more like men, more masculine, more
Mhm.
working. They're doing, you know, civil service jobs. They're not just doing like HR, like, you know, these sort of you know, they're getting real jobs. And
Mhm.
now men are being pushed out. So it's just like men and women, it's like it's all by design, where we're not fit for each other. It's not even like anti-women, like, or checking women. Like, men aren't men anymore. They're not masculine. They're not tough. They don't have any grit. But women aren't women either. They don't know how to cook or clean or serve a man, or, you know, be a good wife. It's just vanity, and, you know, monetizing their youth, and getting enough money to get away from society or men in general. Like,
Well, if you think about it, it's also the
I mean,
collapse of the.
why
it's
would
the
a woman
Sorry.
why would a woman even want to be around a man when she doesn't have to be? You know, she can do everything she wants and not have to touch a dick.
Oh, and even if she wants to touch a dick, there'll be like 1,000 dudes. She can be the ugliest woman in the world, go to a bar and slut it out and go home with at least one guy. It doesn't matter. That'll never happen for 99% of men. But a woman can always get sex if she wants it. That's I don't think an issue. But yeah, I think the other part is our economy. You know, a lot of it is just made up work, and you'll see that with AI. But the problem is you know, I remember talking to this guy, and he was just recently. I was in Thailand a couple of days ago, and this guy was staying at this hotel, and I kind of sort of chatted with him over the days. He was an older guy, and he was young during the Yugoslav Civil War, and he said that there's only three sort of sectors of the economy that aren't fake, and he said women, booze and drugs, and gambling, right? And you take a look at vices, right? You look at the mafia. This is what they concentrate on as well. And so now you have like most young men desperate to like make any money. They're all desperately going into the casinos of crypto, you know, because it's basically what it is. It's a casino, the same way the stock market is. These are just gigantic casinos. And women, they're all, you know, oh, I can't find a job, or I don't want a normal job, so I'll go do OnlyFans. You know, I mean, the vast number of women that do OnlyFans now is just astronomical. So that's another thing. Even if you get a girl now, are you going? I'd probably say, like, if a girl is now between the ages of 18 and 35, there's probably a good 1 in 5, 1 in 10 chance. I don't know what the statistics were, but they'd be fairly high. That you know, somewhere on the internet is her there sucking off some dude, you know, and taking in all of the thing, as you said.
Black Pigeon, like, that's the thing. Like, I've known guys in their early mid-20s. They've got an apartment, they got a live-in girlfriend, and she's doing OnlyFans, playing with a little coochie in the other room, and he's okay with this. And like, I'm supposed to think he's a winner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah,
like, that's how blue-pilled men are. Like, they're just gonna go with this arrangement and be allowed or accept this arrangement, and that's literally where we're at, where men are accepting overweight women, aged out women who are whoring themselves out on the internet, like, and just deal with that. Like, that's not an acceptable arrangement, in my opinion, for men. Like,
no, it goes against all evolutionary tendencies as well, to be having no problem with your wife playing with her coochie or whatnot. It's the same as when I hear about guys that have no problem with their girlfriends being porn stars. You know, it's the exact same thing. I mean, fine, maybe you want to, you know, but obviously if if you had any feelings toward that woman, any real genuine feelings, you would not be okay with that. So yeah, we're living in a very weird time in the world.
I want to ask you, since
Yeah.
you're here, Black Pigeon, like I really do think you're a great content creator. I haven't followed you in a few years because like I know you've been deplatformed, and yeah, I was subscribed to your YouTube channel, in case you're wondering. That was a long time ago.
Cool.
I don't know if you're still on YouTube. Maybe you made a new channel.
No. I'm still on. My channel got reinstated but demonetized, so whatever.
I'll have to find it. I've had so many. I got banned on YouTube. I built up a channel and I got banned. So then I got to resub and find all these fucking clowns on the internet. Not to say you're a clown, but
yeah.
It's just that, like, my question to you. And by the way, how roughly at your age?
I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You're about my age.
Yeah.
So what do you think, as a guy who's been sort of you've been kind of like an expat guy, right? Or whatever. Like,
yeah, I've been an expat most of my adult life.
What do you think 24-year-old Western men should do with their life? What is your advice, or what is it that you would want to, like,
impart to younger guys?
What direction would you steer them towards, like advice or a way to navigate their life, their individual life, to benefit themselves? What is the answer for you, in your opinion?
Well, I'm not one for giving advice, but if I would say, and I don't think my particular life circumstances are for everyone. A lot of people don't like living in different places or moving around.
Remember, we're talking about 25-year-old Western men. Like, what do you think they should do?
You go where you see your value and the greatest return for it. A place like the United States, in my opinion, almost anywhere in North America and Western Europe it's a dead zone, right? I mean, if you, Claire,
scuttle the ship, Bucko.
Yeah, well, I myself don't want to go down with the ship, but Claire will tell you.
Man, just leave, run away, find somewhere, some new land, get out.
Well, think about it.
There's nowhere to run.
But that's what I was just going to get to. That's what everyone living in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States, that's what their ancestors did. They picked up sticks and they went where they found opportunity. But the problem is that what Claire is saying is there's nowhere left to run unless you're highly adventurous. So what you've got to do, in my opinion, excuse me, is first and foremost, you're going to have to find a way to generate an income that's not casino based on things like day trading or crypto, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying crypto's bad. I have crypto, but I do think it's another big fucking pump and dump scam. I think everything now is a pump and dump scam, whether it's housing, whether it's gold, whether it's everything is just being inflated, especially because of money printing. But to get back to your question, and I would say, is find a way in a way that you find tolerable. Everyone says, follow what you love and the money will come. Well, that's not necessarily the case anymore, especially given with AI, for example. I mean, AI, I think, is going to make doctors, lawyers, and artists all basically unemployed, including most computer coders as well. I mean, I've been reading more so that AI can read MRIs and it can go through pretty much medical charts or symptoms. It can basically diagnose. Perhaps if you're a surgeon, like a very skilled surgeon, you'll still have a job. But I think most people 20 years from now will probably be just going to some sort of clinic. They'll punch in what they have. They'll get an MRI, and so doctors are gone. Lawyering is mostly paperwork, done. Computer coding, done. What you're going to have to do is find a way in this economy, because I mean, you take a look at people like Sam Altman and Elon Musk. They say there's no jobs that are going to exist in 20 years. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I mean, the point being is you're going to have to find something you find tolerable, because it's something you're going to have to do. And then, depending on your level of I guess, adventurism or your ability to take risks, You either go find some place you like to live. I mean, I myself, if I was going to recommend places, I'd recommend like Hungary, Slovakia, Slovenia, the Czech Republic, a lot of places. I was just there.
I may say something,
Yeah.
Black Pigeon, like, and I really think you're a great content creator. I
Right.
really liked your channel back in like the 2018, 2015
Mhm.
era. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, so it's where, like, is that desirable? Like, as
Well, no, I don't think so. I was just gonna what I was gonna get to, what I was gonna finish with is
going to Hungary as like an excess male, like, is that gonna work? But before you say anything, like, do you want to check me a little in terms of like men died in a ditch and never touched a titty? And
Right.
you got a chance, Bucko. You got the iPhone, you got the Apple, or the smartphone, or what,
Yeah.
you got the tech. Like, do you want to like push back on anything I've said on the stream in terms of like, wait, like, men did this all throughout history where they had to like find their way and like go to some far off land. Like, do you think that men, 23-year-old young Western men, are spoiled little brats? Does that ring true? I'm trying to meet you. Like, I want to like just sort of like get this.
Okay. I get you. I didn't listen to the whole stream, mind you.
But
I
you know
would
what
just
I'm saying? We're like,
Yeah.
there is no more wars. Like, we're not at World War. There isn't this catastrophic. There's all these men that are complaining on the internet. They're complaining in real life. Like, they've got maybe a better opportunity than our forefather our kin or the people that came before us. Like, they had a tough time too. Don't be too Am I too pessimistic?
No, I don't think you are. The only thing, let me just finish on the last point, was that I think that if you want to stay in somewhere like the US, find a community that you can join that has similar worldview and similar values as than you do. Another thing would be to join a church. I think if you want to find a decent woman, I'll finish up with that. Except don't join like cultish churches, like what have you. What you're talking about too is, I would agree with you, and history substantiates what you just asserted, is that men who procreated throughout history, because if you go back and you take a look at the human genome, or they basically figure for every one man that lived, or sorry, for every 17 women procreated historically for every one man that did. Because men by the time they were 14 or 15, they'd be sent out during the spring to go fight their lord's enemy on the other side of the mountain, right? And this happened every spring, and men just died, right? And men, what happened was,
But do you think they had it better though? Like, Black Pigeon, like, do you think like
well,
guys
men understood? Yes, I do, because I think men
think,
at the time, they understood they had to take risks.
like, guys today though, like, do they have like
people don't want to take risks? People are so, for the most part, people are, I don't want to use the term afraid, but comfortable. I think what we're seeing right now, what you're seeing right now is the tail end. It's a civilization that's living on the fumes of the post World War II era. And the young men today are the last generation that were born into somewhat of a stable society, that also had relative wealth. And in that regard, it's kind of paralyzed people. And I think that one of the things you'll see is people that are coming from nothing, from these third world countries. They'll walk from Venezuela to the Mexican border just for the chance to climb over the fence. And whether or not, excuse me, but part of it obviously is because the United States has made itself open. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to mute myself for a minute.
Well, the thing is, like, Black Pigeon, like, I'm curious on your general take and sense on the ground floor about like how men's experiences, how much worse are they than the previous generations? because you got guys like SJJ or whatever, and I like the guy, and I like a lot of these people that we've been, you know, kind of hanging in these spaces. But like, is it uniquely worse or better? And I
I
would,
think it's just different. I think what we're trying to do is base our experiences upon, because we're coming to a point in living memory where World War II doesn't really exist anymore. Neither does the post-war boom. And we're coming to the end of living memory of that point. So that's kind of the starting point for I think most people's starting point for what is normal and what is not normal. I mean, if you go before World War II, I mean, you look at the generation that came before that. I mean, they were born in a time that didn't have airplanes, and then they went to war in a world war. Millions and millions of them were killed. They came back, and then
let me just say this: like,
you know,
you hear about your granddaddy or whatever who like worked at like a union as like a janitor for like a elementary school, and he was able to buy a house and have a family.
oh yeah,
Like, and now like that ain't gonna work out for you, Bucko. Like, do you see it? Do you understand? Like, wait, like young people, like their you know their sense of things, like this is kind of fucking garbage, but at the same time perhaps spoiled. Do you want to like explain the nuance?
no, I agree, but I think part of the problem is it goes back to what you were saying previously about ever expanding population. It's not necessary for anyone but those that control the financial system and the creation of debt. And what happens is we've gotten to a society where people are so squeezed and people are so indebted, it's like trying to draw water from a stone. And this is why all of these migrants are being let into our country as well, is because they can become new debt slaves to the financial system. You remove debt from the financial system, or just the kind of collateralized debt that we have in absolutely everything. I mean, I've seen ads for DoorDash and Uber Eats where you can pay monthly for the meal that you eat today. Like, you could make payments on this stuff. You can make payments on a Costco hot dog.
On an Amazon purchase, like a fucking 3-month fucking payment plan on a $20 purchase.
Oh, it gets better. I saw payment plans for Costco hot dogs that are like $1.50 or whatever they cost, right? So you get rid of that kind of system. You stop pumping all of these countries full of people. Things will normalize. Like literally, when the boomers start dying en masse, which is going to be starting soon. It is. The boomer generation's on its way out, and they are the holders of most of the wealth. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't going to be passing down that money in generational wealth. They're just going to blow it all. A lot of it's just going to be blown. And then
I don't think they're going to blow it all. They're going to get raped by the medical industry or
that too. I mean, the ones that aren't raped by the medical system are going to be the ones that blow it all. But my point being is what's going to happen is what's left over. And this is another thing you could get into is even things like with a declining population, first and foremost, what gets cheaper? Land, housing. And with that, for example, commercialized real estate as well. So the cost of selling things goes down. The cost of living goes down. The cost of everything goes down. But the problem is they don't want this to happen. The Canada is talking about the new man that's been is the ambassador to Washington, and Canada has a really bad relationship with the US right now. He is, first and foremost, he's just finished at BlackRock. He's trying to become the architect of a country. 20 years ago, Canada was 25 million people. He's focusing, it's like 40 million people now. He's trying to bring it up to 100 million by the turn of the century, the 2100. By that time, America now, when I was a kid, was, I think, I don't know, 275 million. It's like 350 million now, right? By 2050, it's going to be like 500 million, right? When does it end? Is America going to be finished? Is it going to be full when it's 1 billion? 2 billion? If it's like India, all the cities look like fucking Calcutta and Delhi. Like, when does this finish? Right? So my point being is I agree with you that we have these problems, but all of these problems kind of find their same genesis in a few interrelated strands of financialism and I guess, to be honest, the media and social media, but then also that is the same thing. So I think what we all could be, I don't want a black pill, but a lot of times I feel like a Roman standing, looking over the castle wall, the city wall in the 4th century, watching my civilization disintegrate. And civilizations do go through these processes. And there has not been one civilization over the last 5,000 years that doesn't go through the same process. There's several writers. There's one, Sir John Glubb, another one, J.D. Unwin, and the one that I'm bringing up to discuss this one, his name is Oscar Spengler. He was a German thinker, and he came up with the concept, and he studied something like, I don't know, like 400 civilizations, and they all went through the same process, and it was what he called the spring, and that's when a civilization had energy, and it had expansionism, it was dynamic. Then it went through its summer, where it enjoyed those fruits of its expansion. Then it went into its autumn. And that's when, and you'll read about Romans and Roman historians talking about, when people don't want to fight, when they have something to lose. And then a civilization, when it goes through that, it just turns to degeneracy and goes into the winter of its civilization. And I think that we right now, as a civilization, are in our winter. And unless more people are able to be reached and explained this very real thing that's happening right now and what needs to be done, there's no other real end to this but what's happened to all the other civilizations that have hit the dustbin over the last few thousand years. And one thing that's very interesting is J.D. Unwin. He's another one. And what he said was that with the laxing of sexual mores on any society, basically that society would collapse within a couple of generations. And he documented all the way back to Assyria, and he found no civilization that became lax on the sexual mores of its women could last. It just cannot last. A good example of this, I think I saw this earlier, and I could probably, Claire, you're in charge of this, right? Is Claire even there?
Yes,
All
Felix.
right, hold on a second. Can I upload something here, or should I send it to you?
Sure, you present.
I think I can. Hold on a second.
Post it in the private chat, and I'll share it.
Let's see. Visual effects. Is that visual effects, or is that what is that?
No, just post it in the private chat, and then I can share it.
Everyone can see it. Where's the private? Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, this doesn't have a what do you call it? A way to send an image, though.
Oh, you just want to show the image?
Yeah, here, I'll just post it on my Twitter right now, and you can
okay.
grab it. Hold on a sec. And this is what I was going to get at. For chats, and then I'll just delete it after you show it. But you can. All right, it's there, and I'll send just on my first post, and I'll send you my Twitter handle in the private chat there. There's my Twitter handle.
I'm already following you. Okay. Yes. So it's the map.
Yeah.
And I will now share it. maybe a bit small.
Just expand it out.
That's the best I can do, I think.
Oh,
I can,
really?
yeah, it's a bit small. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's about
okay.
fertility rates and
Yeah. So what I was going to get at is the fertility rates, as you guys can see, it doesn't matter where you go. Like Thailand, where everyone thinks, like South Asia, everybody thinks, the Thais are these. I was just in Thailand a couple of days ago, and everyone thinks of the Thais as being these, third world baby making machines. I mean, they're not at replacement level. Malaysia's not at replacement level. Even India's not at replacement level. Right? The only
It's the
places you're
pill.
seeing, sorry?
It's the pill.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
pill.
And it's also the empowerment of women. It is.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this what you're seeing right now in this image, I guess the chat can't see it, but the light sort of, what is that, tan or that's not orange, like the light tan are totally below replacement level. The ones that are kind of pinkish, those are at replacement level. They're all Muslim countries. And the red ones are, I think the country that's like Chad, Nigeria, Mali, all the sub-Saharan African countries are all at 6.3, 5.9, 5.98. So the Muslim countries are basically holding their own. Every other culture on the planet is reducing in population, except for sub-Saharan Africa. So now Nigeria, interestingly enough, now the small country of Nigeria has more children than all of Eurasia, not meaning China or the countries, but all of Europe and Russia, all the way to Vladivostok combined. So they have more children born in one country in sub-Saharan Africa than everything from Vladivostok to Dublin, right? So what you're going to be seeing by the turn, but I don't think that this is sustainable, because if you don't have Western nations feeding Africans, they can't feed themselves. So this is obviously not sustainable, but it's going to be an absolute holocaust in terms of what's going to happen to Africa. Right. And I don't know how the only thing I can think of is Western countries just saying, well, all the Africans can just move to England or move to France, or move to wherever, because they're not going to be able to sustain themselves while the rest of the planet is reducing. And I honestly think that this is a good thing. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think populations ebb and flow. And they have all throughout history, and we've reached a sort of a boiling point where there's just too many people. I mean, go to any of these large cities anywhere in the world, there's too many people, and this is a good thing.
Is it too many people, or is it too many of the wrong people?
All right, it's a bit of both, I think. All right, so but the question is, does Europe already? I mean, Donald Trump has said that Europe is heading towards civilizational erasure. Europe will not be European without European people. I think, Claire, you'll agree with me on that, correct?
Well, it will still be peopled, I guess, and
peopled,
but only left with the option of making the best of things and managing, law and order, and maybe raising birth rates.
This population growth couldn't exist without subsidy, without the white Western world like allowing it to happen.
Oh, no, none of that. Especially Africa. Africa, I mean, the funny part is it's every other year they're starving or having some civil war that requires billions of them to be fed and billions of them to move out. This is all a conundrum that's been built. Again, you're talking about subsidies. I look at like a lot of the problems with like obesity in the United States, for example, it all comes from the subsidization of certain crops, right? Corn being one of them. And what you're seeing is the end result of a lot of this. So, so anyway, but with that, guys, I'm actually really not feeling well. I'm gonna go lay down. I just wanted to chime in and say hi and Merry Christmas.
Black Pigeon. I was a big fan of yours, and I haven't been able to. Maybe you're on the social media and the Twitters and the YouTube, but I used to listen to you and follow you, and I must have lost you. And I'm glad you're still hanging around and putting out your your 2 cents or whatever. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, thanks a lot for chatting with me today. I appreciate it, and I thought I'd just stop by and say hi to everybody. And
Yes,
yeah,
thank you, Felix, for coming. There are certain advantages at streaming at 2 a.m. And
definitely. Well,
that means
especially for
having you
me.
dropping in on me.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you do it earlier, I wouldn't be here. So
Yeah.
like, because I'm already into the afternoon here on Christmas Eve. So, yeah. And then I was thinking about what am I going to do? The other thing is I'm making eggnog for myself. I don't think, Claire, have you ever drank eggnog before?
Oh, yeah, I love it. When I was in
Eggnog
America,
sucks, man. Eggnog sucks.
I love eggnog, man.
I love
it.
eggnog.
I love
I wish I
eggnog.
could
I'm
get it
making my
here.
own. If you're buying it in a carton, like if I want to buy it in a carton here where I'm living, it's like $25.
Holy, that's crazy.
Well, it's because they import it, right? It's imported. They don't make it here.
Fuck that.
But you can make your own, and it's 100 times better anyway.
You must give me your recipe then.
I'll send it to you later on. The one that I'm
Okay.
using. Just make sure you put a lot of nutmeg in there.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
it's all good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, sorry, I don't mean to take off early, but like I said, I'm still feeling quite under the weather, and I think I need to go back to
No, I'm
bed.
sorry to hear that.
It's all good,
Okay.
Claire.
Well,
You got
yes.
any sort of Quran Christmas going on for yourself?
Well, this is part of it. This is the Koraniyule season.
Oh,
I
right.
was hoping that maybe if you felt a bit better, you will kind of just do one with me. But
Yeah, sure. I don't
don't
mind.
know.
Just like probably in a few days, though. Like
Yeah,
once I'm feeling
yeah.
a bit better. And Christmas time tomorrow. I've got I don't really do the normal Christmas. I'm going out for at an American restaurant with some friends and stuff like that. So I don't really have the whole family. I mean, my family all lives in Seattle and stuff like that. I'm not going all the way over there. So too expensive and too far, So excuse me. So anyway,
Yes.
Well, it's good to talk to you, man. I really
you guys too.
Well, yeah, I think you're a good YouTuber, and I gotta maybe find your stuff and maybe
You can still find me. Black Pigeon Speaks. It'll be found.
good stuff, man.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
guys.
get
Take
well
good
soon,
care.
Felix.
I will try. I will try indeed.
Okay.
All right. Take good care.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, that was a surprise and a delight for many of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think people would wince and cringe at some of the stuff he said about go to church or whatever. But I'm
Well,
not
it
mad.
doesn't work anymore because you get all these bossy women in church, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I talk to a lot of men who think, okay, I'll go to church, I'll find a trad wife, and they're disappointed. And frankly, even Muslims say that their wives aren't behaving. So okay, that maybe it's something that men always complain about. Because actually, I remember my father complaining that women are, not behaving. So perhaps it is always a problem. And I'm reminded of this Hollywood actress. I forget her name now, but she said, "It doesn't matter who you marry; they always turn out to be someone else."
Yeah. And Claire, I just I enjoyed talking with you tonight. I probably going to get out of here soon too. We've been going 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed talking with you. I think you're, an interesting person, and I think you're educated, you're well spoken, and you deserve more views than you get. And I think it's great that you're always hanging on and doing YouTube and always, interacting with different people. And I have no nothing bad to really say about you. I think you're an interesting, person on the internet. And
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you. Yeah.
more people should find find your stuff or whatever.
Mhm.
And with Black Pigeon, posting that link or whatever, it just sort of reaffirms the Great Replacement. That the non-white world's being subsidized, and they're procreating and they're being helped, and the Western man's being forgotten, and it's not being
Well,
highlighted.
it's only because you haven't got this impulse to marry and sire offspring. And if you did, then everything would come right. But I guess you need the kind of the will to power, right? This is really what you need to do. And maybe the problem is that you would only want to do these things if the women were worth marrying. Isn't that so? And
Yeah.
if you were in love, then you'd climb mountains, cross continents, and that kind of thing. But women, just by giving it up so easily, have made you prefer porn. Maybe, well, not you personally, perhaps, but it just seems easier. You don't have to, deal with the women who answer back, and then you have this sort of, sex robots, and that's another, path to sterility and a rapidly aging and shrinking society. But when people finally see the light, they would ban dating apps. They would ban sex bots and sex dolls, and all the other distractions, and only allow people to have sex with their spouse, who can only be a member of the opposite sex, not within the forbidden degrees of consanguinity. And this was a rule generally understood, but now largely forgotten. But I like to think it's simple. But it's just that people don't really want to do it. They say they do, but if you're confronted with the horror of being stuck with one woman and having to pay for the kids, understandably, some people might say no thanks. But I think this is what religion does to people, social, economic pressure, and of course the law supporting people who do manage to get married. And this is it. What I propose would privilege married parents over non-parents and treat unmarried parents as sex offenders. And this is another taboo in our matriarchy. And that's why nobody wants to listen to me, because what I propose is too horrible for words. But thank you, KL, for saying I'm a Nietzschean.
Well, I think things can change. Things can change with policy. I think that,
with people just saying things, saying they want, the thing. But I think currently they're too afraid of antagonizing feminists, because, in the short term, it means that they won't get any sex that night, or, word might get around that, so-and-so is anti-feminist, which means he will be accused of being a misogynist, and then he'll get no pussy at all, I guess. And that's what you're afraid of, right? And other men will say, yeah, he's a misogynist, but I'm not. I'm a feminist. And well, what you need, I guess, is male solidarity, which you won't get without religion, or a religion that supports patriarchy, which means shaming sluts and shaming slut fuckers. There's just no way around that, I don't think.
Do you shame women in your real life?
No, because most of my friends are well, I think we're all sex offenders. If we've had sex before marriage, technically and biblically, we are sex offenders. But we have allowed standards to slip, and I think this is what happens to all empires. They think they're invulnerable, they're militarily supreme, nobody's going to try anything with them, and so they allow a bit of gay stuff and premarital sex, and that's the end of them.
Well, I'm gonna get out of here, Claire, because I've been
okay. I'll end the lecture now, but.
Well, before I leave, I just want to say I think you're an interesting person, intelligent, well-spoken, and I appreciate you having me on the channel tonight.
Thank you. You're so gracious, and Thank you for coming, and happy Christmas to all you angry and bitter men. I hope you will be less angry and bitter very soon.
All right. Well, maybe we can do another stream in the coming weeks or months. Okay.
Yes, that would be great.
Later, Claire.
Okay, later. Bye, everyone.